I mean, there's no way I'd sit up here and tell you that I've read it all. I've read a fraction of it, but what's online, I mean, just go talk to the geniuses that are online. I don't know. My face, your face, instant face. Go talk to whoever you want that does that stuff. I don't know.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I never listen. I'm gonna listen. I wanna listen to the Dumb Zone.
We're back from Business Wednesday. We're here.
What a day.
What a day. Can we not take any time off? So much happens.
It does.
How do these, I'm wondering about these podcasts that do one a week. We could do a 17-hour podcast once a week. Like it's...
Yeah, I mean, I think most of those people have other gigs, right? Like they're writers or they're reporters or they're comedians or something like that. But this is who we are. By the way, I need to thank you for something. And I'm a couple days late. So when Dan was sick, we did the show from each of our homes. And I had to come over and pick up my headset and a cord. And in the bag, Dan left me some pecan waffle hand soap. And I did not acknowledge him for that when we last talked. And it now is sitting in my kitchen.
Well, he wasn't doing that for you. He was doing it for himself.
Because he wanted to offload it?
Because it doesn't foam.
It's fine.
And he just didn't want it sitting up here anymore.
Well, I could have thrown it away.
Could have.
Or I could do something for my friend.
Yeah, Blake.
Who loves pecans and waffles on his hand.
Pecan.
Huh?
Pecan.
What do you mean?
Pecan.
Did I say it wrong?
You're saying it like a northerner.
You've always said it that way. And it's always bothered me.
Maybe I'll teach you guys how to do some talking.
Just like Minyards.
Minyards? I only say that because of intern Evan.
Oh, okay.
He said he would buy movies from a guy's trunk at Minyards.
I've purchased speakers there at Minyards.
It was a bootleg movies, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
From a guy who just sat in the theater recording it. This is back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was a popular thing where you could buy speakers if you showed up at the right time. Home speakers, maybe a sub for your K5 Blazer.
You talking subwoofer?
I'm talking subwoofer. Maybe a 14-incher.
You know what that means, Blake? Someone said, we have a bunch of email, but
Blake's ignoring you.
I got an email that said they like our video guy occasionally laughing in the background.
I do too.
And that's our video. And I do too, but I was thinking the reason we need that is because we got this guy who doesn't crack a smile.
Yeah.
It's like me at Kevin James next to him.
Yeah.
And I'm judging.
How do you
That's
like
unfair.
it?
I'm judging.
Because you said you liked Kevin James, and you're not going to bring him back into the fold by saying you didn't laugh at Kevin James. You said it was good.
Oh, no, but I just don't audibly laugh too much.
It makes it tough.
And if
I think I make up for all of us.
We have so many of those on the show that
one of us needs to.
Nobody thinks anything is funny. Except for...
Maybe nothing is funny.
Well, that's the problem.
I think both of you are fucking hilarious.
Hey, thanks, man. Jeez. I want to promote...
See, it worked. It worked. I got one from each of them.
Make him laugh, and that'll make me laugh.
Let's see. Because I'll do whatever he does. It's just like Jake and me. Promote Sunday.
Heck yeah.
The stream team is getting back together. We are doing our Cowboy playoff broadcast. Our first ever Cowboy playoff.
It's very exciting.
YouTube broadcast. Go to HTTP.
No, just...
YouTube, our YouTube page.
Yeah.
Search The Dumb Zone or Dumb Zone.
We have quite the lineup scheduled. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
And it's a Cowboy playoff game. It's a Sunday afternoon.
It's funny. A lot of people, there were some people who couldn't do it, and they said, well, I'll just do next week. A lot of overconfidence heading into...
You know that isn't coming from me, and you keep trying to put it on me every time we try to line up a guest, and I'm like, I would say if they can do it this week, they should do it this week.
Well, some said they couldn't do it.
It is
Some are going to the game.
Yeah.
Some people I've contacted.
That's an interesting question. Not to get too into sports too early here, but I was going to look and see what are
Hey, we can do whatever we want.
we can. I was going to look and see what are the biggest. Is that the biggest spread? 7.5.
I think so. I think was the Bills one pretty big? No, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's 10.
Okay.
So it's the second biggest.
Chiefs are 10?
No. The Bills over the Steelers.
Oh, Bills Steelers. Wait,
Yeah,
Chiefs
Chiefs,
have
Dolphins.
Yeah.
You know about that game?
What, the Peacock thing?
Yeah. Well, no. The fact that we're looking at a low of 10 and a wind chill of -30.
Wow.
And if that plays out, I think it would either be the second or third coldest game of all time, with the Ice Bowl being number 1. Actually, I had something about that pulled up right here.
I would think that's a huge negative for the Dolphins, except
sure.
that the Dolphins have a good running game.
Right.
They do, but I mean, Mahomes plays and the Chiefs play in the cold all the time.
Yeah.
Like Miami's whole bit this offseason, whenever they were training in Miami, Mike McDaniel had shirts made that said, "We want it hotter," because people were like, "You're practicing outside in like this stupid level of heat," whereas the Cowboys leave
Right.
so that they can go practice, which kind of makes sense because they play in perfect conditions half the year. So why not go practice in perfect conditions? You get the marketing bump. But the Dolphins, they're not seeing too much -25 wind chill.
Would you be for all domes?
No, I hate that bit. I know that was always Donovan's bit. I don't like that.
Yeah, I like weather.
Yeah. That's cool.
I just like that weather affects games, certain games.
I'm not a
in
huge
certain
fan of
ways.
the different ballparks.
Baseball?
Yeah, dimensions. And,
Okay, I'm a big fan of that too.
Yeah, and I get that it's just because like the way they were built initially was that they were built in like downtown areas that
Right.
those are all very, very old. But with football stadiums, the dimensions are the same, and I kind of like that variable to it. But yeah, dude, this is going to be one of the coldest football games ever played.
And it's funny. My first thought was, I wonder what Mike McDaniel's going to wear.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but he's always got his
He can't
pants cut off here to where you can see his ankles.
He's a very stylish individual.
He's got his watch on.
Yeah,
I'm
will
curious.
his vape freeze?
Good. Yeah.
It's happened to me before.
Today's our free show on YouTube, as I mentioned YouTube for Sunday, so we're also doing today. And speaking of Video Guy, he has set up a new camera that apparently follows me, and I'm the only guy that moves. Oh, look at that. It does. It follows me without doing anything. How about that?
It's pretty sweet.
Without anybody touching it, I should say. And I have the No Puppet hat on just to mention that you can go to this website to buy this hat or other merchandise.
E6sportswear.com.
Spell out
Spell
the
out
six.
the 6. Now he's
Spell
gonna
out the...
take it off.
Oh, speaking of that, I'm glad you said that.
Well, you kind of prompted me to do so.
So Raymond has an idea for a bit, and I kind of told you a little bit about it yesterday, but didn't really dive into it. Raymond, who runs E6 Sportswear, sent us some stuff, and I thought he sent us all the same thing, but apparently he didn't.
Okay.
So let's pass this over. I'll pass this to you. We are looking live as we record live to tape here on a Thursday, the 11th. You can see what we are opening, and you see a little box. It looks like a mini pizza box, which is pretty cool.
I love that.
And now his idea is to work this into a promotion of some sorts, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but what I did think is very cool is the logos on the shirts are all different. They're all pizza-based.
Yeah. I'm repping the Noid.
Hey, look at that.
And we have the Papa, correct? Is that the Papa?
Of course that's the
Yeah,
Papa.
I'm sorry. I don't want to
This one's cool.
denigrate the Papa. You have the
The hut.
What else do we got over there?
I got the Dominoes. That's what
We
I'm
got
saying.
this one, too.
Rep the Noid.
What's this one?
Oh, that's a 6'9" domino.
This idiot won't look at me.
What?
Oh, I said
It is
idiot.
a
and you
6
turned.
9. He even put 6 and 9 on the domino. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
That's a true creative right there.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Open that one. I don't know what that one is. I didn't open these yet.
What else could it be?
Oh, yes, I was hoping it was
Well, I just don't know what.
pizza.
Oh. That's fantastic.
I love this one.
Okay.
We ate so much
you
Little
guys are-
Caesars growing up.
These are you guys.
Yeah, there's their names are written.
Yeah, I see. I see that now.
And then we also
Thanks,
got
Raymond.
a package from Carrie.
You guys have a mic and a headset?
And let's see what we got mailed to
Wow.
us here. What do you got there?
Carey, grandfather of Deuce.
Dang,
Nice USC baseball shirt there.
this is great.
Okay. Deuce Robinson, of course, who plays baseball and football
Look at that.
What a day.
for
Look at
UFC. Yeah, I mentioned we have so many things that we missed. And I thought, if we were a specialty show or just focused on one thing, maybe we could get all these things in that we missed. Although if that one thing is football, I don't know that we could get all the things in.
Yeah, it's always another day.
But I think the problem is that we kind of think of ourselves as a variety show.
Sure.
And I don't know how common that is in this new world that we are wading into.
Not very common.
And, for example, I was trying to book a guest because this guy ain't doing anything. He's not laughing. He's not booking guests.
I'm about to leave.
Let's just name the last guest you booked.
Okay.
Probably yesterday, probably the other day with Sarah Heppola, right? You
Okay.
thought
Yeah, we got
that'd be a
Brian
great
Curtis
guest.
tomorrow. It was a great guest.
Wait, he didn't book that guest. I did.
Oh,
Okay.
jeez.
So I
will
was trying to
hand
book a
over
guest.
social media duties to you, and I will get back to booking guests.
Hey, let's do a
you want
full-
to tell me why you're not doing
Let's do a
your
reset
job?
here.
What? What?
I appreciate you, Blake.
You don't.
I do.
No, I
do too.
send
I'm
you
just saying
sweet,
there's
loving
more to the
text
job.
messages.
We're now out here, and we each have to take on more duties. Not like, since I'm now doing social media stuff, I won't book guests.
Tell
like
us
we're
about
all,
the guests you wanted to book.
I'm promoting stuff. I didn't used to do that. Anyway, so this guest
You got him.
interview with it's someone that I know who has a television show made about them. And so I wanted to request that they come on our little podcast, and a major TV network, one of the big ones, emailed me and said, I'm reaching out for Blank Studios regarding your interview request. We're hoping to work out a few requirements before we officially approve the request. Please note, all the notes below are off the record.
Well, I think legally, at this point, you should stop.
I just said it's very vague. It's a major television network. I'm not saying who it is, what show, anything.
Okay.
Anybody have any thoughts on this? Think I shouldn't read it?
I mean, if they asked you not to,
It just says it's off the record, but I'm not telling you who this is from. The interview must be uploaded as a standalone interview, rather than it being a segment within a full podcast interview. Or
Probably
a
out at
podcast
that point.
episode.
We might have been able to do that one, but
The questions must be submitted to me at least 3 days prior to the interview. It should be conducted with one host, you, no co-host.
okay.
I'd be into that.
I bet you would.
Time restriction as well, and some other things. But I thought those were the most interesting points of, and I just wonder if this is a very common thing
Absolutely.
in the podcast world. Hey, I'm trying to control the narrative of what happens here with this interview. And they're the publicity department. They're trying to promote. They're trying to be positive. But I just found that really weird because anytime we would get anything I mean, we'd be very remiss to even do an interview that they said it can't be between noon and 3. You have to record it.
Yeah.
In our old job.
Shatner and Leno were the two that I was on board for with you.
Yeah, if they're big enough.
We did McConaughey.
We did McConaughey. That's right. We did that one during the Pandy. What you don't know, though, and maybe you do know this, is that a lot of times when I would book guests for our former show, they would ask me for a submission of questions, and I would just make a bunch of stuff up.
And we'd never ask those?
I would never even tell you, yeah. It's just like, well,
See, I was thinking I could have. I replied saying, hey, I have a co-host. It's a variety show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry there's no match here.
Yeah.
Because it's you who want to promote their thing. And I think we would help them more than they would help us. Who knows?
And a lot of times what you find, it's just like with sports PR people, is the subject of the interview largely doesn't care.
Oh, yeah.
So you just have to get past the gatekeeper. So I would just like come up with a bunch of BS questions and I would send them back to them. And then sometimes they would get mad, sometimes they wouldn't. But I'm like, I'm never going to talk to this person again. So the fact that Dan asked him, how much was your advance? And that wasn't on my list of questions. It just never, I was like, it doesn't matter. We got him on the air.
I think that publicizing your advance and salaries in general would make things better for everybody. And then people would know what they can ask for. Yes, but of course,
the problem is everyone would need to do it. Because, for example, if Sarah does it and nobody else does it, that, is using her publisher or her whatever, then they're mad at her and they might not want to work with her again. That's the problem.
I think at some point we're going to publicize what we made at our old job to let people know about that.
Some of it was pretty public, but
yeah, I guess it's all kind of out there anyway. But we've never said it.
I
want to.
It's funny. A buddy of mine works for a university, and it's a state university. Like, he's a research guy, and so they have to put out everybody's salary every year. Like it's in an annual report. And he was like, the first thing I do is go look at
people I work
with, my boss, see what I'm stacking up. And, I mean, from his telling of it, it's pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Like when people know how to ask for more and how much to ask for, that sort of thing.
Or you also know I shouldn't ask for this. If this guy's not making this.
Right, or I should leave, or I should stay, that sort of thing.
That's really interesting.
Do you want to do some viewer mail? Kick us off that way?
Yeah, sure.
So we talked on Tuesday about how the dating game has changed and like Instagram and how you don't really have to declare a relationship anymore. Amy emails and says, y'all are not that far off on social media relationship declarations, Gen Z using Insta as opposed to Facebook, but there is an important distinction. And I've heard these terms before, and I kind of knew what they meant, but not well enough to explain them when we were talking about it the other day. This is the concept of the soft launch versus the hard launch. The soft launch is when you post a photo with a significant other that does not show their face, and you do not tag them. You might just start out showing these photos in your Insta stories because those disappear after 24 hours instead of the feeds and posts, which you have to go back and manually delete.
So you're out with a girl, but you don't really see who it is, but you're saying, I'm with a girl.
Yeah, and you don't tag her.
Okay, but she might notice it.
She will notice
it.
Like,
hey, wow,
probably.
He's publicizing that we're together.
That's why you do it.
But he didn't put my name on it.
She says it shows people that there's someone in your life, but they're not a mainstay yet. So I've heard these terms before. I didn't know the particulars of it, but it's kind of like, hey, there might be something here, but don't get ahead of yourself. The hard launch, posting a photo of the two of you together, probably at an event or a wedding, but somewhere that is clearly a date. You tag them in the photo and their face can be seen clearly. This shows open acknowledgement of a relationship and some level of exclusivity or commitment.
So, hey, great time with at Kristen.
Yeah, right.
Yes, now you're alerting her. Look, I'm posting us together. I wonder if that ever happens. But that was misunderstood. Like, hey, what is he doing? Why is he posting this of us together?
Like, he got a little over his skis here a little bit. Yeah. I'm sure that happens.
And I wonder if it's addressed.
Just block.
If
Just
I,
blocking
well, no,
them.
but just maybe you are kind of dating, but you didn't think you were a couple. And
Yeah.
is there a gender, kind of the old school is the man has to ask her to marry, and that's kind of still in play, but you'll hear occasionally of the lady doing it. Very occasionally.
They don't have to really, they just kind of send the signal.
But, does the man have to declare we're dating now, or can the lady declare, and is there ever a guy going, whoa,
I honestly think it's mostly the lady. I think it's mostly the lady who posts the photo tagging a guy and is like, and then he reciprocates.
Okay. So that's the
They've
public,
taken a lot of power back, and rightfully so.
that's the public I love you.
Yeah.
Because was that a thing? Like, I don't really remember it with my wife, but I do remember that being a thing in the dating game of when do you get to I love you? Who's going to say it first? What's going to be the situation? It's
What a disaster.
usually alcohol involved in my history, at least. You're worried. What if she doesn't fire it back? I had a buddy who would tell me anytime it was ever said to him, he fired it right back, whether he believed it or not.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
avoid the fight.
Because what if you're kind of dating and she throws out I love you, and you're like, I love
Yeah,
the
well,
way.
I mean, it's not
Because you start with that. I love your laugh.
Yeah. I love being around you.
Yeah, I love,
Yeah. But I don't think it's
I
just
love when we're
avoid the
together.
fight, Blake. I think it's to just keep plowing ahead towards plowing.
Yeah, like you have,
Well,
Because it's like in Team
you're
America.
not plowing that night if
No.
you're
no,
like,
no chance.
well, that's what I'm saying.
look, that was a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
too far.
Remove it. It's like in Team America, there's that scene where one of the female characters says to one of the male ones, I will only have sex with you if you can promise me you'll never die. And he looks her dead in the eye and he's like, I will never die. And the next scene is like 5 minutes of marionette puppets having sex. Saw that movie in the theater, by the way. I have one more email for you. This is from Chad. We were talking about watching a movie at AT&T Stadium and how cool that would be.
Yeah.
He said, back in 2017, my oldest son was in Cub Scouts, and AT&T Stadium hosted an event where we got to go on the field for a few hours one night and play around in bounce houses and all sorts of other stuff the kids could do. They had literally 1 million boxes of Papa John's pizza and Pepsi to eat and drink, which makes sense. They get the bounce houses off the field. We got to set up a tent on the field. They had a sleepover. He said once everything
sounds
was,
great.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do this. He said once everything was settled, they showed the Lego movie on the screen, and we sat in the stands and watched the movie. He's like, when the movie was over, we got in our tent and slept on the field overnight. Like, that is a dream scenario for me as like a 10 or 11-year-old.
Yeah, I wonder what that cost the Cub Scouts to rent out the stadium for the night.
Yeah, and I imagine there's some level of like AT&T or the Cowboys have like a charity angle here. Maybe they cut them a little bit of a deal for like a tax thing or something. I don't know.
Business.
Yeah, I don't know. But he said it was awesome.
Man, that does sound awesome. I'll whip out some birthdays from viewer mail, and then we'll move on. Hi, Mr. Dan. Please accept this email from my lowly garbage Gmail account. My friend Counter P is 25. Day 1 DF, loves Latina women.
Okay.
The New York Football Giants and the Florida Gators. And he has the same opinion of me and Blake about Kirk Herbstreit's dog.
It sucks.
Am I like a Ben Homer over here? I don't recall being like Ben Rules.
You're on Ben Island? That's from Will. Uncle Hotmail. It is the 13th birthday of my youngest son, Beckett. You might be wondering, he sent an email for his other kid the other day. You might be wondering why my two kids' birthdays are 3 years and 2 days apart in January, but some quick math and the knowledge that my birthday is at the very end of March would clear that up. From Nick.
I thought on the birthday you got to
Yeah, I thought it was.
do some non-baby making stuff.
My wonderful
I don't know, I'm just,
Right. You don't want to. That's a lot of effort from you.
You do that on Tuesday.
My wonderful wife, Crystal Coco, is 45.
That's a stripper name.
Day one. I was just thinking hot name, but go ahead.
It's often one and the same.
Yeah, I suppose some are. Day one DFs.
So,
Rooted hard for y'all in your fight against the man, and she is an avid Hotmail user from Jason.
I don't even know what that would mean.
And Tio Hotmail, day one DF here. Wish my wife Monica happy 50th. I did not wake her up in that special way because she doesn't let me feast south of the border.
Jesus.
That sounds great. She won't let you.
You're like, it's like your
"Ah."
your buddy trying to hold you back in a fight that you don't want to be into.
Yeah, it's NBA fight.
Yeah.
Giannis's brother.
Yes.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
She will celebrate this weekend by renting a house out of town with 7 of her friends.
Oh.
okay, she
Whose
keeps getting
birthday
better.
is whose birthday is it?
I will not waste this opportunity like Blake did.
Got a kid there.
That's from Fro. His
Happy
name
birthday,
is
Fro's wife.
Fro. Yeah.
Make sure you take the pillows for the fight.
Okay, what do we want to get into here?
It's time for a Dumb Zone Interstitial.
I have on the plate Business Thursday with Jake.
Yep.
Oh, wait, why is that hit? I stopped you, music.
I command thee.
Belichick Saban. Oh, Blake told me the other day, this is after you left on Tuesday, he was down. He was feeling a little down and out because the national championship.
What the heck?
Do you know what I'm going for?
Yeah, I want to find who started this rumor and put him in jail.
They said they were going to announce the EA Sports, the
Yeah.
new NCAA.
I foolishly reported it, but it was.
I know you got my hopes up.
It was everywhere, dude. I don't even know where it started, but I saw a bunch of.
Did you get ball sacked?
I mean, I think the entire internet did.
Were a lot of people mad? Mad online?
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the people that live online and will tweet when they're frustrated, it's people my age. And people my age grew up playing that video game.
Yeah.
And so I think that what started it was I think they were going to release the release date for the game, and then people took that as they're going to run a trailer. And
so we're tuned into the game?
yeah, to
Yeah.
see the trailer because this game has been away for a decade. So obviously video game technology has really changed. So what the game is going to look like aesthetically means a lot because there's going to be a big difference in how it used to look and now. And so, yeah, it was a big deal. And then when they didn't even tell you the release date,
They didn't even
people
get
were
that?
mad.
No.
So
It was-
it wasn't anything?
Nothing.
It was completely like it was a Reddit rumor or something that a bunch of outlets ran with, including this very program. But yeah, like everyone was really mad. It wasn't just like Blake got duped by me. Somehow this thing spread like wildfire.
That does wildfires spread.
And I mean, I don't know. You never played that game, right? Like I know you dabbled in Madden, but that game was awesome. It was so great. I think it was better than Madden at its peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I did NCAA. I was a big Madden guy, Tiger guy, FIFA.
Oh,
I'm not a big soccer guy, but I loved FIFA.
It was so good. I had a FIFA era for sure.
That's where we started the bit of, you know how we loved. Did we do this with? Was it Kyle Gibson that we started with? Kay Gibson. Like we didn't know who they were, or was it a star? A Dallas Star.
Yeah, it was
did
M. Raffle.
Yes,
M.
that's
Raffle.
right.
Like, hey man,
What's up, M?
really loved the game M. Raffle had last night. But that's how we used to refer to the players because they would list them as, P. Cruz or something.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, love P. Cruz. Like, had no idea who one of the soccer players was, but it was a great game.
The game was so good that there were no names. It was QB number 10 that
Yeah.
played for Texas, who was a badass.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until you got Xbox Live and the internet where people were uploading names, but forever it was just HB number 5 for USC, who was really awesome.
Was there an era of names before
No,
the
never.
lawsuit?
No.
There were never names on it.
I'm such a dork, though. Like, obviously, I would play with Texas. I would rename manually almost the whole roster.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was my
Like
summer.
80 deep.
That was my summer project.
Yeah.
Is going through the media guide and seeing their name, their height, weight, and their high school, and I would put all that information in.
It's painstaking.
It was fun. You learn the team that way.
I have some Micah stuff for you, too. So we could either start with Belichick / Saban, which is a disservice that these two things happen 24 hours apart, or some Cowboys.
And don't forget,
Jameis.
Did I say Aaron Rodgers?
You did not. We have that as well.
Jeez.
We have a lot on the plate today.
I'm really into it. Let's do Cowboys first. Let's hear
Yeah, it's a quick thing.
some Micah or whatever. Did you see that Micah did not make the Players All-Pro team? I don't know what the Players All-Pro team means except for, like, is there an actual award or it just is a thing that they poll the players on to? Did you guys follow that? Did you see that story?
Yes. I know that he's not on it, and I know it's the Players All-Pro, but I don't really understand when this happened. I don't recall there being 2 All-Pro teams before.
No. That's what I'm saying.
But yes, I know he's not on it. So, anyways, I thought there was a chance they might tell him to shut his podcast down for playoff week.
Who?
The Cowboys. Maybe.
Who? Jerry?
But they did not. Maybe McCarthy communicates it to somebody in PR.
Don't you remember one of the good podcasts he was on was during the playoffs, and then they lost a couple years ago because then we had Mike on at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was it was like with Ryan Clark, whatever that's called. Pivot.
Was it that
the
one?
Pivot, yeah. He was talking about living with his mom and everything.
Yeah, he did like an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I think Trayvon
They went
was
to
there.
his house, though.
They went to his house. I mean, but, this is in his house as well.
Yeah, but it's just the whole, the game, the media plays, the appearance of, are you doing something that's not preparing for your big
what
game?
You should be out there throwing a football through a tire 18 hours a day. He doesn't really touch specifically on the snub here, but he's well aware of the narrative that the league is conspiring against him.
Got my 14th sack of the season. Big career high for me. I said I wasn't going to be a 13 guy no more. Just speaking into existence, I thought I was going to be a 17, 18 guy, but we won't get into that. We all know we coulda, shoulda, woulda, but we had 14 this year. Obviously, next year we're trying to go bigger and better and just keep raising the bar every year, raising the bar, raising the bar, raising the bar.
Okay, now what's about to happen is he's going to read notes from a media guide or from a PR release.
But fifth player since 1982 with at least 40 career sacks in the first 3 seasons. Super blessed, super honored, and just thankful every day the Dallas Cowboys chose me, and they put so much effort and energy into me.
Like, you think he's on StatHead on Pro Football Reference, like filtering? First 3 years.
Right, how many players? Yeah.
40 sack, do the equal or greater than sign.
It's such a familiar cadence because we played the Dion audio earlier where
Yeah,
he sits down immediately.
Just
quick
reading the
facts,
notes.
quick
Yeah, is there
facts.
any chance Micah is cutting and pasting that and putting it on a note, or is somebody else?
Obviously, he's got a producer who's looking at the press releases.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was in the press release, the notes that we get, So this one is he doesn't spend that much time talking Cowboys. As I've told you guys before, some weeks he will, but most weeks he just talks about the league. So he kind of just ran down like a full playoff preview, and he didn't even really talk that much about Cowboys-Packers. He just talked about the season they had and CD being first team and Deron Bland being first team. Interestingly enough, I didn't hear him mention Zach Martin, but whatever. And then his last point here is on Dak, and he ends it with something that I know Dan's going to love.
And it was the bounce back year. A lot of people, he dealt with the hand injury, probably rushed back earlier than he had to midway through the season last year, just trying to get in a rhythm of things. But he made no excuses. He just got better. And I knew it was going to be a special year for Dak coming into training camp. I know y'all saw the training camp when Dak's talking trash back. Everything's intense between Trayvon and Dak. And Dak just had that swagger, man. He had that composure. He said, I'm gonna keep getting better. I'm gonna keep going. And man, number 4, hell of a year, brother. You're a Pro Bowler. You should be an All-Pro, no doubt in my mind. Hell of a year. Way to bounce back. And like I said, he's finna get paid.
So he's not paid yet?
No. He will mention that about someone in just about every episode I listen to.
I mean, it's interesting that it would even bother me. It's got to be an age thing. But because I guess it's what everybody has always wanted. They're just now just outwardly saying it.
Yeah.
Like you never really wanted to throw that out there in the media.
And Michael will still say stuff like, last week, it wasn't on the podcast. It was in his availability of like, hey, if we want to be remembered like, Troy and Charles Haley and, Emmett and Michael, like this is the time. Like we want to make legacies. He says stuff like that. He just also is always like, you're about to get paid. I'm about to get paid. You should get paid. He got paid.
See, those things will definitely happen.
Yeah.
Will you build the legacy that Troy and Emmett and Michael have? That's maybe.
Yeah.
But I suppose likely not.
Tune into the stream Sunday. See if they can win one playoff game. On the other football stuff, other than Jameis, this is like the weirdest 3 days I think I've ever seen in maybe in sports history, in my sports history. Like, I don't think it's prisoner of the moment, or I'm just too young to say that's the greatest NFL head coach and the greatest college football head coach of all time. With Belichick, you have to weigh it as it happened during the Cap era, which makes it infinitely more improbable. If you notice, the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since the NFL, maybe the first year they had a cap, or the Barry year, but they haven't won since then. The Patriots have won all theirs since then.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so Belichick to me is
good quarterback or not.
And I don't even
great quarterback.
I get really annoyed by the
like
who deserves more credit bit.
I'm just saying the Colts had Peyton Manning for a long time. They won one.
Yeah.
A lot of guys who have had great quarterbacks under them. And I just don't think that just if Tom Brady was there, I don't know. Would he have won more than Peyton Manning? I don't know.
I just think in a football team, your coach, sports are sports and teams are teams. And I think in football, the coach-quarterback symbiotic relationship is very, very hard to nail and is the most important thing in the sport. And they nailed it.
And of all the big four sports, football is the one where the coach matters the most.
Yeah. Yeah. And quarterback is the most important position in the world. So
right. Both of those guys can change a franchise for sure. And now get two good ones together.
So for him to retire, or not retire, rather, for him to part ways with his organization, because there's a lot of chirping out there.
What is the official word on the New England thing?
I mean, they held a press conference today. I watched a little bit of it, and it was all love for everyone,
But it was
sides.
We've mutually decided type thing?
Yeah. Yeah. And
it might have been we've mutually decided because I was, maybe behind the scenes he said, look, I don't think you could do all of this anymore. I don't think you could be the GM and the coach. I want to bring in someone to buy the groceries.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. I want you to hire a new coach. I want you to pick. They say it's, what's his name? Jared Mayo. I read a big article on him that they wrote actually like last year.
I think it's Gerard, right? Or is it Jared? Is he going to be – you're saying he's a head coaching candidate?
Yeah. Like he's their coach in waiting.
Damn. I did not know that.
Yeah, that when he was a coach on the field type thing when he was there, that he's beloved, took a year. Yeah, I read a big athletic thing. Or maybe, Mike Sando was writing about this last week, and there was a link in his article if you want to find where it is. But because I was thinking it's Vrabel for sure. It seems to fit.
Yeah, I mean his teams have sucked for the past couple of years, but I mean his situation's not been great. I mean he has won before. Mayo's an inside linebackers coach. That's quite the step.
Yeah, but wasn't he linked last offseason? I think I've heard his name floated out there a lot.
Yes, like he pulled himself out of, I think, something. Maybe it was Carolina.
Okay.
Somewhere. And you do wonder,
Was he told something?
I mean, that's the good thing about the good part of, I don't know, it's not equal opportunity. The Rooney Rule is that you are forced to meet someone and to talk to them that you might not have otherwise. And Jared Mayo might end up being the guy that everybody calls for their Rooney Rule obligation. But that is how you actually meet and talk to people. Like getting in a room with whoever it is.
Yeah,
Tepper or Robert Kraft or just any owner across the league. And then they talk to each other and be like, hey,
That was a good step, but their incentivizing program that they do now is a bigger thing. Because the problem is the pipeline.
Draft pick?
Yeah. If you hire a minority and they develop in your building, personnel or coaching side, and somebody else thinks that's the guy I want, you get the pick. So it's not like you're rewarding some other team for like, oh, we want to hire a black guy,
and then
I'm going to get a pick. So that guy's going to. So that's like, that's the way to do it. Is you're because the problem is you don't have black head coaches because you don't have black coordinators. The reason you don't have black coordinators is because you don't have black position coaches.
So if another team hired
they
Mayo,
get bumped up,
or does he have to be a coordinator?
I don't know the specifics on that.
Okay, but they're trying to help that. Yeah.
On Belichick, Adam Schefter said this morning that he wants to continue coaching and is expected to draw interest.
Jeez.
From at least some of the 7 other NFL teams. And he specifically noted the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Falcons smoke this morning, just that Arthur Smith has, tried to court big names before and always to no avail. I think Joe Gibbs was one of them, just when some of the big names were out there available.
I mean, the other thing that was said was that there's possibly one team in the playoffs that has not fired their head coach yet.
Well, that's clearly Dallas, correct? That seems to be the
Philadelphia.
Oh, that's interesting.
Pittsburgh's
not going to fire their head coach.
They very well might. Or he may just bounce.
I don't. Why would you say Pittsburgh would fire their head coach? I don't think that's a possibility at all.
We talked about this the other day.
17 years, he's never had a losing season.
Yeah, I know, but at some point you feel like you're kind of stagnant. I wouldn't do it.
Also, don't you think Belichick wants to go where obviously Shula's in his sights. He needs 15 wins.
I would just fly right to San Diego or Los Angeles, rather.
Well, Philly's a good opportunity, too.
Sure, but Herbert.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying having Herbert would be a pretty good starting point.
Yeah, that's a difference is you get your quarterback. I mean, is McDermott safe?
Man, that's a good question.
Because everyone thought he was on the chopping block after his terrorist claims.
After his Al-Qaeda comps.
Now, I don't think they've lost since then, so maybe his job is safe, but...
Well, that's interesting, too. Just I see a lot of the correlation of, hey, since that happened, or since he got rid of that offensive coordinator.
Ken Dorsey.
They've done a lot better, but actually their numbers are worse.
They are, yeah.
Offensive EPA, they were 3rd weeks 1 through 10 with the old offensive coordinator, and they're 6th week 11 through 18, which is not a huge
It's not a huge thing, but there are other numbers too. Like Allen's turnovers are not really all that much better, I don't think. I mean, he had 3 or 4 in a game they won a couple weeks ago. The one where he had like 3 in the first half, where he was just YOLOing.
Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their defense. Their defense is super solid. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be really, really weird to see Bill Belichick coaching somewhere else. But it feels like it's probably going to happen. I mean, what about Washington?
Again, that doesn't go with the narrative of he's looking for 15 more wins.
You get the second overall pick, though. Maybe you get.
You're going to need 2 years to get that.
Yeah, does he want to build, though?
But
Well,
maybe that's his bit. Maybe he does.
Because I think that's the draw to the Chargers is you could foresee them winning right away.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the very popular conspiracy theory about the Cowboys is that if they get bounced this weekend, it's probably got to be this weekend, that Jerry could write a big check to get Belichick in here and say, this is a Super Bowl team, and this guy can't get us. He can't do the thing. Look at the McCarthy playoff record, not that impressive when you put it up against Bill Belichick's.
Dan would look like Randy Marsh in the trailer.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think I might have to find a new line of work.
The reason I don't think it will happen is because I think Belichick doesn't want to walk in the steps of Parcells that far. He's kind of already walked in many of Parcells' steps. And Parcells did that exact same thing.
That's interesting. I was going to say the reason is because he doesn't want to walk into the draft room and see yodeling kid.
And probably, on some level, yes.
Yeah, it's just,
he doesn't want to deal with that. Probably anyone that gets Bill Belichick says, I do whatever I want.
yeah.
And they say, of course you do. You're Bill Belichick. Why would we question that at all? But what we want you to do, Bill Belichick, is to groom us a football guy to be the GM, maybe even help groom our next head coach, and win some games here, get that record, and go out like that. So who would let him do that? I would think the Chargers might. I certainly think Washington would because they're a new ownership group. But again, does he want to start over? Does Philly? Philly might already have kind of a good structure in place where they're not looking for a football guy to change the way they do things.
It would be insane to fire him. It would be hilarious. Sirianni.
Oh, yeah.
But you're in the Super Bowl last year. You're in the playoffs this year. Like, you developed an MVP caliber quarterback, or went a long way to doing it.
Just that sour last, 5 weeks?
That'd be a crazy way to go out. But I imagine losing to Tampa, much like Dallas losing to Green Bay, people would at least be wondering. And then on Saban, I mean, he changed the landscape of college football. My whole basically adult life has been just Nick Saban. Like, the SEC used to kind of suck. They were not good for a long time. The 80s and 90s, that was not a power conference. And then he went to LSU, won. And the coaching tree that, you go back to LSU and his coaching tree is insane. And a lot of those guys went to SEC schools. And then going to Alabama, and a lot of those coaches there have gone to other SEC schools. And I saw this this tweet that I thought you guys would find interesting. Because we always talk about, the annual deal of highest paid state employee. And it gets a bunch of people really upset, right?
Yeah,
Because
I love that
bit.
bit.
It's not a teacher. It's not I don't know who they want it to be. Governor. You want them to make the most money? I don't know. So.
It feels weird, but.
It does. But in winning 6 national championships, 9 SEC championships. When Saban arrived in Alabama in 2007, since he arrived in 2007, their enrollment has gone from 25,000 to 40,000. That's a 60% jump compared with a 10% jump national average. But the real thing is that they flipped from being a school that was almost all made up of in-state students to the majority now being out of state. And I think Dan knows why that matters. tuition is 3 times as much.
Yeah.
11,000 to 32,000. So they flipped their student body composition to people that pay 3 times more. He made $130 million over 16 seasons in Tuscaloosa, but you could easily argue that he's worth $1 billion. I mean, people are coming in from Texas or from New York or from California because they want to go to Alabama and experience the Alabama game day, the Alabama scene for 4 years. And
yeah, I do remember Alabama just being kind of a joke. It sucked.
Yeah.
Like it was they used to be good
yeah,
type thing.
they were a joke. So, yeah, I mean,
Dennis Francione. Didn't he go there?
yeah, for a little bit. No. Yeah, he did. Yeah. I'm trying to look at the full list. There was the one that was like a scandal that he had to retire, he had to quit over like lying on his resume. Do you recall that?
Kind of.
I think it was Mike Price. Yeah, Mike Price.
No, I mean, what can you say? You look at there's tons of stats thrown out. Like did you see the one where he's had like 44 first-round draft picks
Yeah.
and like 26 losses, something like that.
That's wild.
He has almost double the draft pick first-rounders than guys who have lost. So it's just silly. It's silly stats.
Okay, I got to get this right. The Mike Price thing was in December 2002, he was hired in principal to replace Francione as the head coach. Price was at Alabama during the 2003 spring practice, but in May, his contract was rescinded shortly after news reports surfaced of Price being seen at a strip club during a trip to Pensacola where Price was playing in a golf tournament. And he also had about $1,000 charged to his hotel room by an unknown woman staying in the room. This development came on the heels of an earlier reprimand for visiting campus area bars and drinking into the early hours in Tuscaloosa. So he is listed on their head coach list, but there's just dashes in the win-loss parts.
So he was a head coach candidate visiting campus area bars. I was just thinking how uncomfortable the thought to me, I went to visit my kid at Clemson, and just the thought of me going out, like my kid asked, she wanted us to come out. I'm like, I just couldn't even imagine being in a college bar.
Yeah.
Now, if you're with your kid, I'm sure there's a different, you're not looked at the same way as if you're the old guy in the club.
But still. Yeah, you're not, but
it just feels like that's just a scene that I'm surprised I was ever really into, but I'm certainly not. Like, you're a way different person than you were when you were 20.
for sure.
Which is
hopefully.
The oddity of the lifetime marriage contract, if you can both get married at 20 and then if you're both actually get along when you're 50.
I think it's weirder if you go, not to be judgmental here, but I think it's weirder if you go with a child that's not the same gender as you.
There could be something to that.
Like when they do like dad's weekend, they'll just like have them all at the frat house
Yeah.
and they're, throwing kegs and shotgunning beers, and then the moms are
Hooking up.
yeah, well, whatever they do over there. But I think it would be a lot weirder if you went with your daughter than if you had like a 22-year-old son and you just went and like had a burger and a beer. But I don't know.
Is that like a sexist thing to even think?
Probably.
Yeah.
So why not Saban to Dallas? I just know Dan's.
I think he was wrong.
Dan's going through it right now.
No. It makes little Dan sad to see. Have you seen like videos? You probably don't have the same feed I have sometimes of Cleveland Browns stuff, but a video of Belichick and Saban on the sideline together. Belichick hired Saban as his defensive coordinator when he was in Cleveland. And just how Cleveland, just growing up a city of losers that that all of a sudden here they are. We fired the greatest head coach in the history of pro football, and we had on the same staff the greatest, and
It's
we
the most
had
Browns
Mike
thing ever.
McDaniel, and we had whatever, and we had all these number one picks,
Shanahan.
and so now let's take it to the next step of you took Baker when you could have had Mahomes, you took all this stuff in the history of the Browns.
Dude, none of it matters.
You got your quarterback now.
You got Flacco.
We now do have Flacco, and that's a lot of. You talk about Cowboy overconfidence. Somehow I can't find anyone picking the Texans at Houston.
Yeah, Browns are only favored by 2.
Right, but find somebody picking the Texans.
I don't know. That that does not feel near as clear cut as like a Cowboys overconfidence to me.
Yeah. What can you say about Saban? I love him. Obviously, everybody loves him. I also think he got a raw deal with Miami. I think you should have, if you left Saban alone and left him in charge, he'll figure that out. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but because some people you end up saying, well, no, they can just coach the college game. I don't believe that to be so.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a different animal. Whenever you can't, I mean, you would have to modify the way you talk to people, for sure. I mean, how many times have we seen him just destroying a kid? Or an assistant coach. You don't see that in the NFL. Very, very rarely. So that has to go day one.
It just feels like he's college Belichick. And maybe you're right, because you don't see that with Belichick, really.
No, not too much. Not too much. I mean, the officials, sure. Like, he might freeze you out and not talk to you. But
you know what we should do again?
What's that?
Watch that Belichick-Saban documentary.
It was really good. Before we move on, I do want to play this for you. So Chandler Jones was a first-round pick by the Patriots back in, I would think it was 2012, if I have that right. He has had some issues recently. I don't know that we ever really talked about him, but he's been arrested. He's clearly got some serious mental health issues going on. Let's see.
He's jumping in Bass Pro Shop pools.
No, he didn't do that, but it's not that far off, really. He violated a protection order, then did it again. He was on Instagram Live, like, crying and burning a bunch of stuff. I think his ex called the cops on him, maybe. He does not appear to be doing all that great. And his brother is John Jones, one of the most high-profile and best UFC fighters ever.
Oh, okay.
And he's had...
Yeah, I heard of him.
John Bones Jones. He's had his own serious issues.
Okay, I didn't know that they were related.
Yeah. So there's a video that he put on Instagram. Chandler
How come
Jones.
all these other athletic brothers have fellow athletic brothers? What
Shut
happened?
up. I try hard, okay?
Get there early.
So Chandler Jones...
Do you ever wonder that? I mean, Joe is a Division I quarter... Okay, sorry. Go ahead. It's kind of amazing. My brother, too. My brother was like, he won the... Back in... I don't know if you guys did it, but did they do the presidential physical fitness test?
We had something like that,
Yeah.
I
For
don't
the
know what it was
school,
called,
and you
but
had
yeah.
to do as many pull-ups as you can, and then cone drill and something, and then they added it all up, and they're like, okay, you are in the whatever percentile, and you can figure out if you have 100 people in your school, man, and I was like the lowest 20%, whatever, the worst athletes
Yeah.
at the school, and he was number one, my brother, number one, and I'm like, what? How did he get all that?
I mean, listen, I'm not saying I'm athletic, but I know I can't throw, but you guys are making it sound like I'm Stephen Hawking.
You guys,
All I'm
I haven't said
saying is
anything.
Like,
Joe Kemp
I
is-
played sports from the age of 5 to 18. Like, I was not the least athletic kid on my football team. I was probably middle of the pack, and he was the best.
I'm just saying, a UFC fighter, an NFL player. Now I got a D1 college quarterback, and then I got the
podcast host,
the 15th guy on his flag
on a
football
spare flag
team.
football team of the suburbs.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyways,
Sorry.
Chandler Jones decided to sit down, and this is probably kind of rude on us because I think he's losing his mind and needs help. Maybe he's getting it, and maybe that's how he was able to write this beautiful sonnet for Bill Belichick.
Belichick, oh how I miss you. I just wanna kiss you. They just got rid of you. Oh, Bill Belichick.
And it's kind of choppy because it's an Instagram thing, so not always on the same beat.
You didn't flatten that ball. It was Tom Brady. You didn't Spygate. You didn't Deflategate.
Is this the
He's
Tennessee
innocent.
whiskey?
Tennessee whiskey, yeah.
Okay, I was trying to place
So
it.
why fire him when it should have been Mr. Kraft?
Okay, I don't think they could fire Mr. Kraft.
Yeah.
But obviously Chandler Jones has an axe to grind with Bob Kraft.
Is he laying breadcrumbs? Is he going to Tennessee?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Tennessee
Tennessee
whiskey?
whiskey. Okay,
Oh.
sorry. You're ahead of the curve.
Oh, Bill Belichick. As long as you cut the check, fight the wrong man. Why fire him? They called it a dynasty. He got 7 Super Bowls.
Just completely lost the AB
Oh,
rhyme scheme.
Bill Belichick. Whew. He made me the man I am.
I don't know if you want to be putting that on someone else's resume right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill Belichick.
It's like me promoting my personal trainer.
Why fire him?
All right.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
Bill Belichick.
Hope y'all like that.
Hope y'all liked that.
I did like
loved
that.
I loved it,
I
Chandler.
like that a lot.
Oh, Bill Belichick.
Well, speaking of going off the rails, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Because I was really into this the other day. Again, we last did a program on Tuesday. By the way, so I've been watching more Pat McAfee clips than I ever dreamed I would because of this. So he says program. And I feel like is he a Pittsburgh guy? McAfee, is that where his accent's from?
He's from there somewhere. I think Pittsburgh, but it's
So my
Pittsburgh,
grandma's
Ohio.
from Pittsburgh. And the reason I say program is because my grandma would watch her program. She's like, I got to watch my program tonight. And that's just, I just want to say, I've been saying program for 20 years,
To
and now
honor her.
Pat McAfee is going to walk around saying program. So I guess it's a Pittsburgh thing. I
Yeah.
guess that's the reason I say it.
Yeah, he's from Allegheny County.
Okay. That's one of the rivers, correct? One of the 3?
There is
Allegheny, Ohio, and?
Why would we know that?
Oh, I don't know. This little Pittsburgh trivia.
Yeah, my knowledge stopped at Three River Stadium.
Yeah.
The Monongahela? Look it up.
How would I even begin?
Just
And
what are
why?
the 3
What-
rivers?
What is he going to find interesting about Googling that?
He just wants to be proven correct about a place where he grew up.
I didn't grow up in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I grew up
but
miles away.
How do you say this again? Monongahela?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I just want to tell you guys I know something about geography.
Fair point. Take a dub where you can get one.
Yeah. I knew the 3 rivers. Okay, so should we take it back to I don't know how far we want to go back, but it's now moved up to the Jimmy Kimmel versus Aaron Rodgers feud.
Yeah.
And I love all of this.
There's a lot of context here.
And it's funny to hear your talking heads, your Brian Curtis, who will be on with us tomorrow. Guys like that, just everybody wants to talk about this situation. And a lot of the hand-wringing is about, man, is ESPN, what do they think about this? What's going on behind the scenes? I feel like unless they're total idiots, and there are some idiots at the highest levels of some media companies. They love this. Like, this is the point. This is why you hired Pat McAfee, because they're viral. They're talking about this. They're talking about, like, every week it's something with Pat McAfee. They have to be thrilled with their Pat McAfee experience so far.
And we'll get into this, but the only thing that I would say is that, yes, as long as you stop short of actually name-dropping the people at the company who own the network that you're on and how bad they suck.
Well, that's probably what they think. I don't think that, though. As an outsider,
I'm just saying it's because of
yes,
ego.
There's no yes, but. This is what I wanted. I wanted Wild Guy. I want Stern. Stern has a history of calling out his program director if he does that. Like, he names names. I want Pat McAfee because he does wild stuff. Ooh, that's too wild, though. You didn't stop short of the wild line. No. I want Pat McAfee. I'm taking what Pat McAfee brings me.
But you know how those people can be.
I do know how those
Ego-wise.
people can be, and I think it's been a great move. I think they're on the map.
Because on some level, isn't it better that he's making fun of a fellow Disney employee? Because aren't people just going to go back and forth between Disney programs? Because if you're throwing stones outside of your company, now people are tracking it outside of your company.
That's a great point.
But now people are going to Kimmel, then back to McAfee.
That's
and
a great
all
point
connected.
because I've heard that the Kimmel thing made it even worse. That
Sure,
it's
made it
that
better.
it's an ABC employee. You shouldn't be doing that with an ABC. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
it's basically just how wrestling works.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't actually set this up ahead of time.
No, I'm just
but
as it could have been though. But no, they obviously didn't.
No, man, I just love the spectacle of it all.
I think the one
I
person
love
who
that
doesn't like it is Jimmy Kimmel.
I think Jimmy Kimmel doesn't like that, and we'll get to that. So we played you the audio the other day. Should we play that again? What is that labeled as? Rodgers 2?
Yeah.
Where Aaron Rodgers, well, let's just play you this audio. It's not that long.
Bring it up, Foxy or somebody back
Seats
there.
on it.
Bring up Super Bowl 58.
You'll see it.
The emblem, put it on the screen. And then bring up 57 and 56.
Okay.
This has something to do with the Epstein list that came out.
Feels like.
That's supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been waiting in his wine cellar.
Yeah.
I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
All right. Obviously, a clip from this particular program was run on Jimmy Kimmel's show whenever Aaron brought up the list, and then Jimmy mocked him for it. Mm-hmm. Aaron has not forgotten about that, but here we are, sitting right in front of that nice bottle of scotch. Mm-hmm. What do you say? I'm waiting to celebrate something.
Oh, yeah. Something
He's been waiting
That's
for
the one.
You've been waiting for
Hey, I'll tell you what, if that list comes out, I definitely will be popping some sort of bottle.
Okay, the meat there.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
Okay, so then, after we played that, McAfee did come on the air and kind of say, hey, he's just talking shit. He's just, like, we're just messing around. Which I buy. Which, if you listen to it, if you look at it, if you see the context, if you realize it's because Kimmel was making fun of Aaron Rodgers in the past, this is just a volley back and forth, and it's kind of just fun. There was no real accusation there. That's what I believe here.
It's a volley, yeah. I mean, Kimmel went on his program, called him a Karen, called him a tinfoil hatter.
It was
told
over
him
like vaccine stuff, right?
Yeah, well, the alien or UFO stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Told him to get back in concussion protocol, and that was kind of unwarranted because Kimmel just did that on his own.
Not unwarranted in the sense that he's a comedian who does a air quote funny late night talk show, and this is what he does. He'll make fun of different people who have different comments in society.
The news, yeah.
All right. Well, you picked on the guy who keeps track of people who say mean things about him.
Yeah.
You say that about Dak.
You never hear another
ever
word about
right.
it.
But Rodgers is that type where, okay, I remember what you said 6 years ago, and I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, but fine. To me.
However,
go ahead.
I agree with you that it is a volley, and it's just talking shit, but I promise you, because he's not totally wrong, Aaron Rodgers is definitely the type of guy that is interested in, like, the global pedophile cabal. And that does have quite a few people in the entertainment industry probably on it. My guess is most of them are much higher up than Jimmy Kimmel. But, you know, there's a lot of... I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not into...
I was going to say, do you think that's a real thing? There's this real...
Do I think that, like, child trafficking exists for people with billions of dollars? Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. There's just too much there. Now, I don't believe that Hillary Clinton is staying alive by harvesting adrenochrome from their glands, from babies' glands, and that's like the supplement she takes.
But you like reading about it.
I do like reading about it. But if you're telling me that some shipping tycoon who's worth $20 billion, who's 75, do I believe that he has access to like a 14 or 15-year-old female if he wants one, and there are networks that do that? Of course I do. Of course I do. Now I'm going to stop short of what I really believe, which is that the CIA is involved in this trafficking, because we got to get back to the song.
So Jimmy Kimmel, I don't even know that Jimmy Kimmel heard that, but someone on internet says this person's name is Colin Rugg. I don't know who that is, but you see them always putting out, stuff to light fires. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers says he will pop, quote, some sort of bottle when the Epstein Associates list is released, and suggests Jimmy Kimmel will be named. Okay, this is my other thing on context. If you read us ever doing Why Today Doesn't Suck, read a transcript of it versus listening to it,
sure,
you would probably fire us after reading it, and then listening, you'd just be laughing along, and it just comes and goes, because it's just guys... Like I guess I think McAfee said, they're guys talking shit. So Kimmel sees that tweet and quote tweets it. So again, that Aaron Rodgers suggests, this is the New York Times writing about Trump. Mr. Rodgers suggests that Mr. Kimmel may be a part of this trafficking ring. He writes, "Dear asshole," spells it A-A.
That's clever.
Capitalized.
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
With Aaron Rodgers, AA. For the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brained wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. You're reckless. In a different one, oh, you know what? I just didn't click on the whole thing. Later on in that same tweet, it says, if you want to debate this, we can do this in a court of law with my lawyer. Like, pretty much
took it very seriously.
Kind of threatened legal action if this continues, perhaps. And then Kimmel went on his show, and this was his first show of the new year.
For our first show of 2024, which is already a crazy year, particularly for me. Did you hear this story about me and Aaron Rodgers, the former quarterback for the Packers? All right, so...
Odd way to lead things off, too, right away.
Yeah.
Did you hear about me? Did you hear the story? I'm in the news. Did you hear about that?
What happened is he's a Jets quarterback now. He went on a show on ESPN, the Pat McAfee show, and out of the blue insinuated that I was nervous because the Jeffrey Epstein list was coming out. He said I was hoping it wouldn't, and that he was going to pop a bottle of something to celebrate when he did. And then it did come out, and of course my name wasn't on it and isn't on it and won't ever be on. I don't know Jeffrey Epstein. I've never met Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, you know what? I'm just going to jump ahead 2 minutes. Let's go 2 minutes ahead.
February were being reported to distract us from the Epstein list. That was Aaron's theory that he shared, and I mocked. Well, let me show you the moment that so badly bruised Aaron's Thanksgiving Day parade-sized ego. Needless to say, all this UFO talk has the tinfoil.
Okay, that's what we were just talking about a minute ago. But my point, and I could fast forward up to 3 more minutes.
He's an expert in the field of immunology. He just put on a magic helmet, and that G made him a genius.
Okay,
who's laughing at that?
The point. This is my point. He comes out with a monologue. He does 7 minutes on Aaron Rodgers, and there's a couple of somewhat funny jokes in it. But the way you combat people is that you're a comedian. You started this under the heading of comedy. And now you are the one who... Jimmy Kimmel, to me, is a bit too self-righteous.
Yeah.
And I think, I'll bet you, and I'm like-minded in that, yes, I believe, I went to the doctor yesterday. When my doctor says, I think you should get this vaccine, I'll do it. And when, I kind of go with the guy who's gone to school for a long time. So I think we're like-minded in that way. But as far as... I don't know, man. It's like he takes things so seriously, and he took this so seriously. I think he could have diffused it or just dealt with. He could have made Aaron Rodgers look a lot dumber with comedy, not with. How dare you say that I'm a pedophile? To take something that's such a serious crime, and even insinuate. Comedians do that all the time, like Anthony Jeselnik. Our guy Shane, well, whatever. They're joking about everything. They're called jokes. We thought you were a comedian too here, dude. I thought that's what you were doing with the whole Aaron Rodgers, the man bun that he has, and the, everything.
Yeah, and I used to really love Kimmel. Really loved Kimmel. Obviously, I grew up with the Man Show, and I thought early on his show was really good, and it was irreverent, and it didn't take itself too seriously. It wasn't Conan, but it was almost Conan light in a way. But somewhere along the way, I mean, it's probably Trump, dude. Trump broke so many people's brains. Like, I can't stand the guy, but I'm at least able to say he's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I don't really know that Joe Biden is that much better. But if you watch Colbert or you watch Kimmel, I don't even know what the other one is. What am I missing? Fallon. Really all three the same now. Like, they're so just this disgusting.
And Colbert, that's kind of his
centrist bit. Like, it's
Colbert, that's his origin. So I can kind of see Colbert taking that. But I think Colbert started beating those other guys, and they all said, "Ooh, we got to pivot to the actually be seriously mad at Trump."
Yeah, and then the vaccine
platform.
is part of that. It's really annoying, and it's a tough spot for me because at this stage of my life, I find both of these people mind-numbingly annoying. For
Aaron Rodgers is
reasons,
too, but I also just like the spectacle of it and the tune-in ability of it. And so Aaron Rodgers goes on the McAfee show the other day. And let's see. This one is... Okay, he responds to Kimmel for a nice 7 minutes or so, but he's on McAfee. I didn't know this. He's on for an hour every week?
Yeah, every Tuesday.
I thought it was half an hour, so I don't know. Yeah, Blake would know.
And this makes me think, too, something about our situation and where we are now and what we wanted to do. And I want to address this stuff more in the future, just to kind of, be very clear on, why we're here and not at our old job and everything. I think this is one of our things that we were looking at is there are these guys, and these are pretty big time, and Stephen A. Smith did something similar yesterday. He went on a big rant against Jason Whitlock, right? But it was on his podcast. But then you're kind of drawn to that, and now I'm also drawn to his show. You're doing big things, in one arena, and that's going to help your other arena. It doesn't detract from it. That's my opinion. And I think that's kind of what ESPN is doing with McAfee, saying we let him do all these big, and he does these big things on YouTube, and then also people are going to be drawn to his ESPN show because he's doing all these other things. Anyway, I digress. Let's go to Aaron Rodgers a little bit.
It's been an interesting week for sure. Very interesting week. A lot of things have been said. A lot of people have been taking shots at me without mentioning their vax status first, which I thought we established with Ryan Fitzpatrick. That was how we're going to do things moving forward. We haven't done that, obviously. So,
Nick
listen,
Wright,
jokes aside,
Nick Wright did. Nick Wright did. I heard Nick Wright.
Yeah. Listen, jokes aside, I'd really like to get into this and then let's just move on. So, the history of this, before I get into what I said, what I actually said, and how I feel about all that. The history of this, whatever this is between Jimmy and I, this goes back to COVID times, right? And in COVID times, he mentioned on his show.
Okay, he kind of is going to recap kind of a lot what we just did and talk about, he used to make fun of me there.
Again, unprompted. We're talking on our show, as we do, about a lot of different topics. Somehow
See, he gets real.
That is the truth, number one. Number two, I totally understand how serious an allegation of pedophilia would be. So, said about that, I get it. Did you want the quote? Because that's exactly what I said. Verbatim what I said on the show.
I totally get it.
Is it funny that he has to that's what's a joke to me. This is from what I understand, at least the McAfee show to be loose, joking around, a lot of BSing, whatever. That's in theory what a late night comedy show is about as well. A lot of loose, joking around. I think Kimmel brought this to a weird level.
Yeah,
is my point.
Yeah,
but I was just jumping. Let's just jump around. What is the hour like with Aaron Rodgers?
That's the environment that we're in. There's a lot of people who have been captured by various entities, government entities, whether we're talking about pharmaceutical industrial complex or whether we're talking about believing that the government has a best interest in mind and we're puppeting various narratives. In the end, if you are...
All right, let me just fast forward another 3 minutes.
Awesome.
Oh, yes, this is journalism.
Let me indulge you. First of all, there are dozens of studies that talk about that have done by reputable places that have been published in reputable journals that talk about a variety of different subjects, including the efficacy of masking.
Okay, there we go. We're getting into that.
Yep.
And then I'll make my own beliefs off of that. I know it's a weird way of thinking, and the idea of even like doing your own research was vilified for a while, which is crazy. I enjoy reading. I read studies about this. I've read books. I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s book about Fauci is incredible.
You probably read that
It's
one.
also doesn't paint him in the right light. I haven't seen Dr. Fauci file a lawsuit yet. I know.
Okay, well then I guess
it's all true.
Let me jump ahead a few more minutes.
Not by that guy in ABC, and not by any of these people who are still, I mean, the LA County. We just put mask mandates back in.
Oh, buddy.
I mean, how?
I'm 20 minutes in here. Let me jump 25 minutes in.
And again, there was some names that came out recently from a deposition from 2005. But there's still flight logs. There's still a lot of other things that are going to come out. And this corruption goes deep, I believe. And most people that probably looked at it believe that it goes deep. But I'm not calling him one. No one should. Don't do it in my name.
This is amazing. Maybe that was back to...
Was this on ESPN?
This is on ESPN.
I don't know if they air the whole hour on ESPN because I pulled this from YouTube.
I'm pretty sure it was.
This is
right. I respect the opinions of actually some of those people on some of those shows. Two of those people who are on your network. I actually kind of respect some of the stuff they do, and there was a recent interview that kind of reinforced that as well. But this is the new way. A lot of people are trying to do it, and obviously they're jealous of it. The old.
What's he talking about there? Like people are mad about McAfee because he gets to do whatever he wants.
Maybe because they started talking. There is a part in there where they start talking about the ESPN brass.
Yeah.
Because as you know, so let's even take this back. Now the timeline. The point is, I think ESPN, they probably aren't happy, like you say, because people don't like once you get to that line and then go over it. But they should be happy because there's a ton coming out. Like it seems like the McAfee show is like the major piece of news. Like what's the Fox shows? Or is it Fox that has Coward and Skip Bayless?
Well, no, but you're kind of talking about two different things here. The debate shows are First Take, which is Stephen A.
No, but I'm just saying
the Fox show is Skip and.
Right. No, I'm saying Skip or Coward or these people on this other network.
Yeah.
No one's talking about all that.
But
they're talking about ESPN and the infighting and the blah 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 and the versus the brass.
But to steal from your lingo, when is ESPN getting their people are talking check? What does it mean? Like, we've seen figures where McAfee is not drawing on ESPN. That they can validate, and that's what they sell. They can't sell people are talking about us, because it's exposure. What does that mean?
I guess the only thing would be YouTube. Like, their monetization on YouTube is very tough for 99.9% of people, but maybe for them
but
it has
isn't
some
that going to
value.
McAfee? Because that's his YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. But yeah,
I mean, back it up though. What was the timeline with the? There was a leak about the numbers you are referring to.
Yeah.
It was before official numbers were released, but the leak was that McAfee's numbers are 15% worse than last year when they just aired SportsCenter, and that he's losing this much of Stephen A's audience for his hour. McAfee goes on the air very soon after that and says, I know who it is, Norby Williamson, which apparently everybody who used to work at ESPN is very aware and kind of doesn't like this guy. If you hear from Dan Le Batard or your Jameel Hill or whoever.
But he's a big, big deal.
That he's a huge, huge deal. So McAfee kind of throwing his big 12-pounder on the table saying, look who's a bigger deal now. I'm saying this. What are you going to do about it? Because none of those people would have done that in the past when they worked at ESPN. Bill Simmons wouldn't have done that. Bill Simmons took his little week-long suspension or whatever and took it and then continued to collect his big paycheck. McAfee gets that bigger paycheck than anyone and also can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So that happened.
It's a power move for sure.
That happened, and then what is deflecting from what? Because now the Norby thing, now this all happens. And now we're not talking about the McAfee versus the ESPN bosses anymore. We're all talking about Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Kimmel. And Aaron Rodgers, I think, calling out a different ESPN suit in that diatribe as well.
He's going after two of them.
The point is, I love it all because it's fun. It's media.
The question
wars.
is whether or not, to kind of what Blake was saying. From what I watched, it was pretty bad television. You know, it's great to joke about on a radio show.
That's about as much as I want to hear of that.
But it's not.
And that's why I gave it to you like that.
No, I
appreciate.
But if they aired that,
let's jump every
version.
5 minutes. Yeah.
But if that is how they're trying, if the main thing is we have to get ratings on television, that is not going to do it. So they have to figure out a way to turn everybody's talking about us into ratings, which is in some component going to have to be, we can't just let this guy talk about the Zika virus in Africa or extraordinary rendition by the U.S. government on ESPN the week of the NFL playoffs for
flight
an hour.
logs from 05.
We can't. It's just not that many people are going to stay tuned for that that are in their demographic. It's just they just won't. It almost feels like a media story and almost only that. But
so kind of you're saying if Aaron Rodgers would have contained this to my retort to Kimmel, and now we move on and talk about the NFL, that's more what ESPN wants at least?
Yeah.
Not
do none of it, but
I'm not going into RFK.
Here's 5 minutes on it. He makes his own jokes, and then we move into, what was it like working with Jordan Love? Can you believe that he's won 6 of 8 and is in the playoffs this year? I don't think they did any of that.
No, but that's what sells on ESPN because that's what the talking heads do.
Yeah.
And it's just a different, it's almost two inside.
It is.
All right, let's take a break.
Well, hello again, and welcome to my cooking show. I have a very special guest today. His culinary skills are legendary throughout the NFL. My very special guest, Coach Bill Belichick of the Cleveland Browns. Bill, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here, Mike.
Oh, thank you. And I know we have a very special recipe today, one you've held in secret for many years, but you're going to share it with us today.
Right, it's the BBPBJ.
BBPBJ, what is that?
Bill Belichick's peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
How divine. I see we have all the ingredients here for you, so I'm just going to stand back. You're the master of this. Let you go and follow you as you make the sandwich.
Well, we'll start with the raisin bread.
Why raisin bread, bro?
Well, my mother used raisin bread.
Oh, mothers are divine, aren't they?
Oh, they sure
They're
are.
just the best.
She made the best ones.
Yeah. Oh, and chunky peanut butter. That's quite a risk because, the shards of peanuts can tear the flesh of the bread. It's quite an advanced technique.
Well, it has a little more crunch to it, and that really gives you a little extra energy. But the key to it, Mike, is to spread peanut butter on both sides of the bread.
Oh, why?
So that the jelly doesn't leak through in the sandwich. And put the jelly right here in the middle.
That's why you're the head coach. It's forward thinking like that. It's just, I've never seen that. Oh, wonderful. And you spread it out nice and evenly, and then by the end of the day, it's not leaked through. You can have a nice sandwich.
Right. This jelly won't leak through because of the peanut butter on both sides of the bread.
Wonderful. Now you're going to cut it, I assume. You'll cut diagonal or
No,
straight
actually, I like to cut out so we use dog bone.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, actually, we have some made here ahead of time. Some cutouts here. Can you see that? Look at the camera. Yeah, we have some dog bones and stars. We'll give you one there.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, we'll have a little peanut butter jelly. Thank you so much for coming in. And oh, heaven, heaven, heaven.
You're listening to The Dumb Zone.
So you've heard that before.
I have. Via you.
Yeah, it was some Cleveland TV show. Or, I don't know what it was. Like, yeah, cable access, I guess, back then.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
I had never heard of that way of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before. Did you listen to the whole thing, Blake?
I did not.
No puppet.
There.
That's for you.
That's for you.
Thank you.
He puts the peanut butter on both sides of the bread.
Okay.
And the jelly in the middle.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
No, but I like it. I'm all for double peanut butter.
And the reason he does it is because then you can store it in the fridge overnight.
And the jelly doesn't sop through the bread.
Hey, okay.
Because how often have you even made one in the morning, and if you eat it a few hours later,
yep,
one side of the bread is all soggy.
I probably haven't had a PB&J in 25 years. I find them disgusting.
How?
I don't have that. I don't share that.
I don't eat peanut butter.
Oh.
I don't even like making my daughter's breakfast or lunch or whatever. It's just awful. I like peanut butter like ice cream or peanut butter flavoring.
It's weird.
But the texture is just awful, awful. No thanks.
Interesting take.
Stuck all in your mouth.
That's what the jelly's for.
Hey, I talked to my daughter yesterday.
Okay.
Who is living in France until May.
Did she take a sweater?
I think she did bring a sweater.
So she can watch the NBA?
Yeah. She was complaining because it's really cold. Apparently they have exceptionally cold weather right now. It was in the 30s. She is in an apartment, not the dorms. She tried to get into dorms. So she's going over there for school, an exchange program, of course. Or just one way. I don't know if they're exchanging anyone. But she's living in an apartment. She has a roommate. It's a 3-person apartment, and then one girl has her own room. I think you have to pay more if you want your own room type thing. And she said her bedroom is extremely tiny.
Of course.
But she doesn't mind. The living room is fairly good size. They do not have a TV. I asked that because I'm like, what's TV like there? I don't know. I don't have a TV. There's no TV in the room. So they do have a sweater hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
A big sweater.
That's kind of a bummer because anytime, this sounds like a ugly American thing to do, but anytime I've done international travel, the first thing I do is fire up, what are they doing over here?
Yeah.
Like that's when I learned that on court shows in China, they wear powdered wigs. Like in Hong Kong, I guess. I don't know if it's like a British legacy thing. I don't know that much about the history, but I'm like, I'm not sure I've ever seen a Chinese person wearing a powdered wig.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's other wild stuff, much more risque.
I probably think of it because of the movie Splash with Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah. And Daryl Hannah stars as a mermaid, and she learns how to speak English by watching TV.
I believe Elvis Andrews once told us he learned English from Friends.
Yeah.
Good show.
So that's kind of why I thought Oh, can you tune into a TV show in France and follow along? Well, anyway, she doesn't have a TV. But just a few of her things. She's going to a school. They haven't started school until next week, but she's been having to go there for the last couple of days for orientation. They are 7 hours ahead, so when I will text her or send her a cute picture of the dog in the evening, I'm doing that at like 2 in the morning for her, potentially waking her up. So I got to remember not to do that. And she's like, if you look out our window, so the living room, whatever, and then there's the big window. Do you call it a bay window? Oh, it's 6 flights up. There's no elevator.
Don't see a lot of fat French people.
Interesting. Despite all the eclairs they eat.
I mean, they have to walk a lot.
Yeah, it's 6 flights up, which she complained about her, giant luggage.
Yeah,
that she
that's
had to
tough.
lug up there. Is that why they call it luggage? Because you have to lug it up the 6 flights of stairs? So she goes, you look out our window, and you can see the Eiffel Tower.
Did you make a joke?
No. I did not make an Eiffel Tower joke. I'm not thinking about that when I'm talking to my my young daughter. And you know what? I'm going to go with Jimmy Kimmel. If you want to meet me in court and we can talk about this, thoughts.
I will be damned. I'm pretty sure Dan is right about the origin of the word luggage.
Is that it?
Says the word luggage originally meant inconveniently heavy baggage and comes from the verb lug and the suffix age.
Wow.
Who knew that lug is a verb?
Lug something around. You never heard that?
Lug it around.
Of course you did. You just made the point.
Yeah, but it just feels like a word that old. It feels like things always originate from, Latin. And is lug a Latin word? Lug doesn't sound Latin.
No, I don't think so.
And I just thought she could somehow see it. She's 2 blocks from the Eiffel. Because then I was like, is there a coffee shop near? Is there food? Can you get outside? She's like, I'm 2 blocks from the Eiffel Tower. Everything's around me.
That's insane.
That's cool.
And so I don't know if it's too touristy or anything, but yeah. Then when I look at the Find My Phone, you can see, yes, the Eiffel Tower is, let's see there. You can see it right there. Let's see here. Oops, excuse me.
Don't
Like it's-
make Liam Neeson have to go rescue your daughter.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that very interesting.
That's
she
very
gets
cool.
to actually. It's not like she's somewhere near, and it's not far away, and it's right there.
That's incredible. I just want to say, I get we have to do it. The fact that you know where your daughter is at all times whenever she's overseas, you and I would not have handled that well whenever we were on our voyages.
I'm not following up a lot.
Okay.
But when I do use it is if I go look for, I want to give my daughter a call, I'll look, oh, she's probably at class.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. I feel icky even knowing it.
It's weird.
Right now, though, you said that you would send me yours. You didn't. Blake did, and so Blake and I follow each other.
I'm not doing that.
You said you were gonna.
I'm not doing that.
It did help me the other day because I was going to call you, but then I saw you were at a place where I thought you guys may have been in a meeting, so I didn't. Which is kind of nice.
Massage parlor.
I wasn't going to say where the meeting was.
Hey, I'm going to mention one thing real quick.
Uh-huh.
We've already gone this long. Are you guys aware of the discourse around Eric Spoelstra's new contract?
Yes, I love it.
It is fantastic.
Do you think it's true?
No.
I don't know if it's true or not, but so Eric Spoelstra got an 8-year, $120 million contract, which is insane. Insane for an NBA head coach. But I guess he's one of the best. He works well there. He keeps him in the mix. But he also recently got divorced, and so everybody immediately was like, what a bro move by the Heat to wait to give him $120 million until he got the divorce finalized.
Yeah.
And she had to, well, she didn't have to, but his ex-wife decided to weigh in on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What she got?
It starts with, quote, "way to fumble the bag." She says, "I'm not going to address this comment, not as it pertains to my personal life choices, but as it relates to a general thought process that I believe a lot of people have, and a lot of people have harassed me with over the years. According to crass, ignorant, uninformed society at large, women can't win."
Doesn't she look like someone who's been divorced?
Yeah.
Like she looks like she's made to just marry and then get divorced.
Yeah, so she went on with a bunch of other nonsense, but that's a
I love it.
That's a funny story.
If he did it, I love it. That's our sounder for business. We like to separate things with sounders so Blake can timestamp it.
I do appreciate that.
Put it in the notes.
I'm pretty sure that potentially like McAfee, this is a story that only people in the media will care about, but it's kind of funny. So the Emmys, right? TV Emmys. They have a stipulation that if a show wins an Emmy, individuals that are on that show cannot also win in their individual category or receive one. I don't even know if it's win, receive one. So like if
Breaking Bad wins an Emmy, Bryan Cranston can't win an Emmy?
I don't know if it applies to, scripted television or not. This is not
okay,
clear
but
about that.
Yes, your point is valid. Yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
The Rangers broadcast wins an Emmy, then Dave Raymond can't win Broadcaster of the Year.
Yes. And this is organized by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. They are the administrators of the Emmys. And recently they have uncovered a scheme that ESPN had been pulling, and it is hilarious. So, apparently the Emmys matter a whole lot to people like Norby Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a huge point of pride for them to brag about how many they have, to display the trophies. A lot of the people on the shows care a lot about it.
I wonder, Blake says there's no trending check in the mail for the McAfee show or anything like that. I wonder if that is involved in sales, though, if you can say, well, but we only have 700,000 viewers. Yeah, but they won the Emmy this year.
Yeah, I bet it's at least part of it.
Yeah.
So The Athletic reports on this story today where the people who run the Emmys uncovered this scheme where ESPN would win, like a show would win, like let's say SportsCenter. And then they would submit names to the Emmys for people that are on that show, like a fake name, like Laura Cohn. So she would...
Instead of Linda Cohn.
She would still receive an Emmy in the mail and display it proudly on Instagram because they would have the name re-etched after they received it from the Emmys.
So they could put Linda Cohn up for an individual Emmy? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's just more that they like to have these dumb effing trophies. So we have Kirk Henry, which is Kirk Herbstreit, Lee Clark, Lee Corso.
But you said they can't win so it's because they want Herbstreit in the individual category as well?
No, I
potentially win one himself and his show wins one?
I think it literally is just that they want the trophy.
Oh.
Like
so he would only get one trophy.
Yeah, but he's thinking, hey, I got an Emmy.
Yeah, okay.
But he got it because he's
on the whole show got him, okay.
Yeah. But then you get another one that's like, hey, you win this one because, for example, Desmond Howard was Dirk Howard.
So they're not going too far from...
No.
We don't have to etch all the name.
So it starts out by saying in March 2023, Shelley Smith, who we're all very familiar with, received a call from the head of studio and event production.
She's the sideline reporter?
She was. She left, which is why she's probably willing to talk for this story.
She's probably been on Dancing with the Stars and on Oprah because
should have seen that train coming from a mile away.
Good sideline reporters. That's who Dancing with the Stars gets. They don't have to be part of a scandal. Go ahead. Aaron Andrews is just that good of a dancer.
So she sits down with her boss. Her boss says, we need to talk about something serious. It needed to stay between the two of them. She then told Smith that she needed to return 2 Sports Emmy statuettes that she had been given a decade ago, because they had her win under a fake name so she could get a trophy. And she's like, why? And then she has to tell her, like, because we were getting extra trophies for the offices and for all of you by changing your names. We receive them. We send them to an engraving company. They etch off the first name and then put your real first name on there, and then they would just receive another Emmy in the mail. Like, what a dumb-ass scheme. They just want the trophy.
Want it to look cooler?
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm still not following. So they would, on the list of names, would be Desmond Howard and Dirk Howard?
Desmond Howard is listed under, like, hey, they can nominate him for best individual. But whenever they list the crew that works on the show, they would list out, like, hey, here's College Game Day, and they would put 5 fake names on there.
All right.
And then they would win, and I guess seemingly it would be on the Emmys to be like, these 5 names all look like people I've kind of heard of, but that's not their name. But I guess they don't.
Okay. So ESPN would nominate SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt, starring Scott Van Pete. And that would get the award.
Basically.
Okay. And then they would nominate Scott Van Pelt for something else.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. I'm with you.
It's the dumbest story.
That is very dumb.
But as they talked to Shelley Smith for this story, because she's not there anymore, and she said, yeah, like, it's a big deal for executives to just line their shelves with them, and they're all in the lobby, and so they get to keep those, and then they send you your own, which is fake.
Well, certainly that executive, that's their scoreboard, right?
Yeah.
Because they can say, during my time running this division, we won 12 Emmys.
There's also a source they talked to that said many at ESPN, meaning high-ups, thought the rule preventing on-air personalities from getting statuettes for a win by the show was stupid, so they just decided to do something about it.
Also, the whole process of all of that is always kind of fascinating to me. I know how the Marconi process is, where you submit a thing, and then you have to write like I don't know how many pages of an essay. Like, you're pretty much pitching yourself.
Yeah.
And so, that's a big deal for the station executive. We never got a Marconi check. But it's a big deal for the gravitas, I suppose.
Yeah. So the 3 dudes who are in charge of this scheme are banned, ineligible from future Emmy participation. So they're like, there's a couple producers and an executive, and those guys and women get nominated for these things, and it's a big deal to them, and they've been kicked out of the Emmys forever.
Oh, no.
Man, a lot going on at ESPN.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's Stephen A. Smith calling Whitlock a fat bastard or whatever it was.
That was kind of funny. I was watching that, just him railing on hating Whitlock, and says everybody who's ever worked with him hates him and blah, blah, blah. I saw Jameel Hill on Twitter say something like, yeah, Whitlock tried to get me and somebody else, maybe it was Lebertard, to go form their own thing, and we didn't want to have anything to do with him. And I was wondering about Whitlock, because I kind of know his bit a little bit. He's very, obviously turned very political.
Yeah,
like he's a sports guy.
He
but
wasn't necessarily always like that. He actually, in my opinion, used to be a pretty good sports columnist. That's how I first, interfaced with him. I can't remember. It might have been Kansas City, but
a lot of these political
places.
people say that about. I used to like him. Or,
yeah.
Like even like who's the lefty Olbermann.
Sure.
Like same thing.
Yeah.
Like everybody used to kind of like Olbermann, and then it's like, man, you just.
I was always suspect of Olbermann.
But no matter what side I think you're
take
on,
your point.
if that's your whole game is just blowing hard, it's.
Yeah. So it's not that everybody who's ever worked with him doesn't like him. It's that all the people who worked with him who now disagree with him don't like him. That's really what it comes
I was
down
just
to.
wondering, are there any big Whitlock fans out there?
I mean, he's tight with, like, Clay Travis. Clay Travis is a big deal, dude.
No,
so.
but he's But Clay Travis has his reasoning for being tight with him. He knows he's a certain type that he's a fellow blowhard who's trying to play that exact same game. I mean, just viewers, people. Like
the truth is I don't know.
I see the appeal of McAfee, even though I don't think it's us. But I can kind of see the laid back, hanging out, bro talk.
I think the appeal is probably that there are a lot of people who don't want to hear athletes talking politics or social issues at all. And he's a guy who kind of gives voice to the, you're right, they shouldn't be. So I don't know.
But always talking about how athletes are talking about politics.
You've identified the heart of the matter here. Yes.
I don't want them talking about politics. I hate hearing them talk about politics. Let me tune in to hear this guy who also yells about them talking about politics.
That's correct.
And I'm going to agree with him as he tells me about some politics.
By the way, you making the cycle motion with your hand made me think of Baker. Where is he?
The Baker cycle. Yeah, where is the Baker cycle?
Did you see the other day in that photo that they posted of him like at practice? He's got a pack of the Zennies in the pocket.
No.
Just a little, looks like a Copenhagen cup, but it's the Zens. He just got them in his practice sweatpants as he's dropping back to pass at practice. I love it. I was listening to Detroit on the ticket a couple weeks ago, and they were asking him about like, I can't remember they asked him about Micah and C4. I think it was Sean asked him about it, and he's like, I mean, in my day, he's like, all I needed game day was a can of Copenhagen.
That's kind of amazing to play with a dip, don't you think?
Football, baseball, even baseball, dude. I mean, you're going to have to run at some point. You got to dip in the outfield, and someone lines one into, in between center and right. You got to track that thing down with a chaw in.
It's just not it's very occasional high-speed running. That's a little tough, but I can at least see it.
Yeah, my guess is that many NFL players now have nicotine pouches in their mouth during the game. You don't really have to spit.
Yeah, the pouch is great.
Not much, you don't have to.
I've become a pouch guy, and I think I used to associate pouch with like that's if I ever wanted to go play softball. I play hardball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play softball. That means I'm old. And I went straight,
long cut.
Yeah, long cut wintergreen. And now I'm pouch guy, and I feel like I'm weak.
Well, here we are.
You're drinking half coffee.
I'm definitely drinking half coffee. I love it. On to the news?
Sure.
I know we've done a lot.
With the Dumb Zone News.
I don't want to apologize for going long. But I'm sorry.
Then don't.
Oh, okay.
Man, we didn't talk about this on Tuesday because, like I said, I had to get all those other wild-ass internet stories in. But all the videos and images and stories from the incident in Fort Worth where the first 2 floors of the Sandman Signature Hotel exploded after a gas leak are insane. This is the hotel I stayed at back in October.
You know what? I got an email from someone who said he ran into you there. Let me find that while you talk about this story.
Yeah, my cousin, I don't know if I should say was, because not that he's injured or anything, but I don't know if they're going to reopen the hotel, was a manager at the restaurant that's downstairs. It's an old building. It's a bank building, at least partially, because I told you guys that the restaurant is downstairs, and we actually ate. It's a Japanese restaurant in the old bank vault.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's real low table, you're sitting real low. It's cool. Very cool. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. But I don't know how they're going to fit. I mean, they might have to just raise it. I don't know how you fix. I mean, the basement blew up. I don't know how it's standing, to be honest with you.
Do you know where this is downtown?
It's 8th and Houston. What are you looking for?
I was just driving past downtown Fort Worth, and I was trying to peek and see,
It's right by Sundance Square.
Oh, okay, so it's a little deeper in. Okay. I was just curious if they've still got, the streets blocked off and what the scene is like now.
I think they're starting to try to clean it up, but I mean, at first I believe they had to evacuate several buildings around there.
Yeah, the like the security cam of buildings adjacent to it are wild because it just shakes.
Yeah. So I think looks like got out of here with no deaths, but there were a lot of people injured, and probably a lot of people who want to file some sort of. My cousin, his off day is Monday. He works every other day, so I called him right after, and he was just like, he was pretty shook up, and he's like, I gotta start checking on my people. This hotel, Dan, owned by Tom Gallardi.
Wow.
He's in the hotel game. I think that's how he first made his money, or his dad was in the hotel game. That's a wild one.
I want to own something.
You kind of own this. It's not worth anything, but
no. Asa wrote, I was in Fort Worth to work a beer festival. I'm a huge nerd. I was wearing a ticket T-shirt. Jake noticed from out of the Sandman Hotel we were both staying at. Cool place. Jake was going to Zach Bryan. And Blake is a wiener for dunking on Zach. Love chatting with you, Jake. You're the effing man. Also
Well,
way
thank
taller than I thought you'd be. Why does Blake hate Cool S so much?
Did you write this?
Long story short, that hotel blew up today. Here's a picture from IG. It's a shame, too, because I was going to turn that hotel into Jake's lake house on my next trip. From Asa handwritten.
does have that vibe. All right, guys. Well, how about some lighter news? A male lion cub has been born at the Fort Worth Zoo. Meet Moha.
Moha?
Maybe it's Moja.
Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's news for us.
Moja was born in October 2023, weighing 2.7 pounds at 4 days old. Now grown to 16 pounds in just a few months.
Why are we just now hearing about it?
They probably because a couple times they've announced the birth of a baby.
Oh.
And that baby, much like Witten the giraffe, didn't make it too long. It's kind of like whenever you figure out when you can tell your friends and family that she's pregnant.
Second trimester.
Yeah.
Is that the word?
At least.
Yeah. That's when it becomes a little more safe.
Moja is starting to practice some innate behaviors as he often plays with his father, Saba's tail. What, Dan?
I'm just couldn't be less interested in anything you're saying. Right now.
I think he'd rather you get to the rape story in Plano.
Whoa.
I don't know about that, but you know I don't do those stories.
Just hates lighthearted news.
Here's another one.
So does everybody. Why do they throw it at the end of the news?
A police dog, a canine in Weatherford, received a Purple Heart after being shot in the line of duty.
The police dog did?
Yeah. Jack.
I give my Purple Hearts to the dogs that
don't
can
get shot.
evade.
Yeah, I like that. City council members also gave Jack a basket filled with treats, chew toys, and one of his favorite snacks, cheese.
Does that have to?
What a waste! What a waste of city time.
Just doing that.
Have the mayor hand him a squirt cheese. It's easy cheese or whatever. What a beating. The dog's like, what do I do? Can I take this down to the Purple Heart Bank? Get my Purple Heart check? And we have a situation on our hands next week, boys. TxDOT is already beginning to pre-treat North Texas roads. Because it's going to freeze next week.
When?
It might happen by...
It's going to start when we're here, right?
Yeah, I think Sunday. We may be having a sleepover, or there may be people canceling. Just letting you know.
Yeah,
dude, I don't
want people here in a dangerous situation. Then they'll sue us.
That's your concern.
Yeah, that's always my concern these days.
We may be done We may be done by the time it starts, but it's snow and ice overnight for sure. I have a flag game on Sunday at 1 o'clock, at which point the temperature is supposed to be 20. Severely hoping it gets canceled.
Canceled?
Cancer?
Canceled.
It's rude.
Wow. So, you know what? I was thinking,
And then,
too.
throughout next week, by the way, we don't get above freezing until Wednesday.
Now, these cameras are badass, and they're already set up in here, including the moving camera. But I was thinking I would like to do a watching party sometime from my living room and just have a nice fire.
Get a little bit greedy.
What do you mean?
What do you need the fire for?
Because when it's 20 degrees out, I want a fire.
This needs to feel like a job.
Isn't that fun?
It's nice, yeah. I'm not anti-fire. Unless I'm Wire Will.
Can we check in on Hood County breaking news?
Yes, it's a great bit.
Judith posts because...
what are we on, Facebook now?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is called Hood County breaking news. Judith writes, this dog has been barking excessively on Highway 144.
Yeah, that's
It's
a pain.
staying close to a vacant house. I am listening to its bark as I write this. Sounds like it is pleading to whoever abandoned it. Come back, 3 exclamation marks.
It sounds like the dog is saying come back.
Yeah. Look, it's posted action shots of the dog barking on the highway.
Yeah, you could just go take it to, the proper authorities. Why don't you mind your own business, Judas?
Rachel posted a video of what she is
Bitch.
convinced of aliens in the sky.
Oh, yeah. Hood County, big alien hotbed.
Happened a couple days ago in Granbury.
Yep.
Anonymous writes, I'm looking for shelter for a homeless lady. She needs a warm place to go, and I have questions.
Let's say you have a shelter for that. What do you do now? What's your point?
But why? Okay,
What's your play?
How
do you now just post?
How do you get to this situation where you're posting on Facebook under Hood County breaking news that you seemingly are in a possession of a homeless lady and you're trying to find somewhere for her to go?
You kidnap her?
I'm looking at a homeless lady lying there.
And lastly,
why don't you stay at your house?
Lastly, Cheryl is complaining because the mining facility that mines Bitcoin next door is a little bit too loud.
That is a real thing.
And she posts the decibel readings.
That's a real thing.
She has a decibel reader.
Yeah. This page is great.
We should do this every couple days. The last thing I was going to do real quick, we're real close.
So you're not going to do the story I gave you?
What was the one you gave me?
It just made me laugh. I'm going to do it, and then I'll let you do last. If you're going to let
Selena Gomez?
Selena Gomez announces social media break after Golden Globes drama.
Was she one of the writers?
The bit is that,
there's like a viral video.
Yeah, of like, she was hanging out with Taylor Swift, and people are speculating on what she was talking about with her, and, anyway, this is what I love. Like, we have our own set of problems, quite a few these days, that we're trying to get rid of and, climb and all that. This is what is news, though, to Selena Gomez. She's going to take a step back from social media. Because I also just love anyone who announces that they're leaving Twitter and they have to make a big show about it.
Yeah.
And then perhaps might even announce when they're back. Or it's just social media like your usage of social media, you telling everybody what the plans are. I love it all.
I have one exception for this rule.
Okay.
And he might be listening to this show at some point. Greg Tepper is the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, which is a massive, massive undertaking, the actual physical copy. I mean, think about it. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of high schools that they write up, not to mention the colleges. It's almost like I've gotten the feel from talking to him. It feels like I'm talking to an accountant at the tax deadline, where it's just 18 hours a day for months, 2 months, 3 months. When that thing comes out every year, he just says adios. And you don't hear from him on Twitter. And he's a regular tweeter for a month, 2 months. He does it every year.
Does he proclaim that I'm going to be off now?
I mean, I think it's just known almost as like his bit of like, hey, if you need me, don't come here. Like, text me. That's the one exception. Because he's not doing it because he's like, it's just too much. It's just like known as like his bit is like, I'm flushing this out right now.
Like, my point is, just don't be on it.
Yeah.
Or if it's too much, stop looking at it. You can stop. You don't have to read comments. Like, you can just be a one-way Twitter user. I'm somewhat of that.
One time
you put out your own comment now and again, and then that's it.
Well, there's an addictive nature to it, right? The dopamine hit of it. Because one time I just wanted to I've taken it off my phone many times.
That's hilarious to me.
I just don't want to sit there and look at it and scroll in bed.
No,
or
I
whatever.
can see that, yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, I can at least flip over to this book.
But you haven't announced to the world that you've done it.
No. But one time I actually suspended my own account. This is not when I got kicked off.
So that you wouldn't get on it?
Yeah. For like a week and a half. And that was worse.
Like,
because then I had 100 emails and 100 text messages of people like, what'd you do this time?
And it says Jake is suspended or whatever?
Yeah, or it's I don't know that it indicated that it was user side. But
boy, that's hilarious.
It's hard, dude. It's hard to get away from, and I don't like feeling of it.
I waste too much time.
Way too much time.
You know, Wordle is 2 minutes every morning, and then
Twitter. Let's
hop on Twitter, and the thing is, you can obviously, you can close it or turn it off, or now I'll go check text. Okay, now I'm going to check Twitter again. Oh, a whole new batch of stuff just popped up.
So our last quick story here is that by the end of 2024, Walmart is saying that they will have about a 75% coverage area for people in Dallas-Fort Worth for drone delivery.
Okay.
They also say that about 75% of the items that they sell can be delivered by drone. So you're probably not getting a bike, although that would be funny.
I feel like I want to. Would they put that on the? Like, I'll order something if I know it's going to be a drone delivery. Like, I'll order my toothpaste from Walmart just to see a drone deliver it.
I'll be out front.
With a basketball?
No, with a 308.
Well, I thought you
scope it out.
Can whip a ball at it. You don't have to have a firearm.
There's almost no chance that I get out of the next 2 years without assaulting a drone at a serious degree.
There's going to be someday laws on the books.
Oh, yeah. There probably already is.
Penalizing you.
Yeah, they'll treat it like a person.
Yeah, that's their property.
The police drone will get a Purple Heart whenever I spike a volleyball into its head. Give him his favorite chew and battery. All right, there's your news.
The Dumb Zone News.
Stupid drone.
Like and subscribe.
The Dumb Zone presents Today in History.
So we never got to Jameis in football. We'll have to do that tomorrow. If you guys want to do a program tomorrow.
To do the show.
Let's see.
Why did you just say it?
I don't know.
So it's Thursday, January 11th. That is when we are recording live to tape from high atop my garage. And on this day, in 1908, who was the president in 1908, Blake?
I don't know.
It's Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh.
proclaimed the Grand Canyon as a national monument. He said, I hereby proclaim this is pretty damn sweet. No one before that had noted how cool the Grand Canyon was.
Presidents of past would just stroll by and yell meh, and it would echo.
It later became a national park in 1919.
Still never been.
Oh, really?
I know you have.
Yeah, we took a driving vacation, which we like. I like to do driving vacations, but you can only drive, if you live here and you drive 10 hours, you might still be here.
Mm-hmm.
So we flew to Tucson and drove up through, this was my only swim through spring training. Went to a game or two. You want to do that, Blake, this year?
Spring training?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't want France. Does want Phoenix.
Did you see the Rangers open up with a 89.5 win total?
I did not see that. What do we like?
I don't know. They just won the World Series and their win total is under 90. That's weird.
Doubters, haters.
Dodgers at 103.5.
Jesus. That's got to be historic.
Well, they're just trying to buy a championship, and I don't like that.
I know. Yeah. Homegrown over here, brother.
Anyway, drove up through Phoenix, Sedona. First time I ever saw Sedona. Well, the only time, I guess. I've not been back. Drove up to the Grand Canyon, and then stopped ended in Vegas. And so all we had was a flight to Tucson and a flight home from Vegas. Had no hotel reservations anywhere. This is the old me.
That's cool.
Just show up in Vegas and try to find a room. Then do some effing. Know what I'm saying?
And then just show up to the rental car place and just get whatever they have?
Yep. Well, we might have got the rental car ahead of time, too. Oh. Sorry. That would be prudent. Anyway, 1987 on this day, the Cleveland Browns. So this day, you remember a week ago I was telling you about one of the greatest sporting events I've ever been to is Browns-Jets double overtime. On this day, I went with the same buddy, Ed, different Ed, to the game. His dad had season tickets. And on this day, we would drive home not on the highway. And this is obviously pre-iPhone and everything, just side streets. Didn't know where we were going, but it didn't matter when we got there or how long it took because it was the saddest drive we ever had. And the drive was the saddest drive, I guess, because that's the John Elway leading the Broncos to victory. In overtime, the drive was, during the regulation time, a 15-play, 98-yard drive to tie the score. Rich Karlis then kicked a very controversial, take a look at the 33-yard field goal in overtime and tell me that's not wide left. Tell me.
Okay.
All right, let me look it up.
Look it up, and you will see it's wide left.
And were you in the crowd thinking, wow, we pinned the Broncos at the 2?
Oh, my gosh, of course. This was a victory. This was an absolute victory. I don't remember how it ended up at the 2, though. Like, were they trying to punch it in? Or maybe it was probably a punt. This is not a... If you're at the 2-yard line...
In 1987?
In 1987, you're kicking a field goal. You're not saying, hey, I'm going to go for it here.
Of course.
Any luck yet?
I'm seeing the fumble. Was it a fumble that
No,
caused it?
This happened in 87. It's the 86 championship game.
Oh.
The fumble was the next year.
Yeah.
Where Ernest Biner fumbled at the goal line. That, I think, was in Denver, though, and I was not there. 2010 on this day, Mark McGwire admitted that he used steroids and HGH when he broke baseball's home run record in 1998. And I remember we were all just stunned.
Mm-hmm. Incensed.
You used what?
That was a very exciting time for...
Did you just find the whole game?
Young me.
I thought the clip would be there.
Here's a field goal.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me it's not wide left. It's up, and it's...
Man, that does look wide left.
It's that camera's right in the middle of the goalpost, too.
Is it because it's too high? But did he kick it over the upright?
And the refs just wanted to get out of there. They were cold.
Yeah, it's cold.
And they're in Cleveland.
You guys know my bid is that we should have basically what amounts to lasers on top of the goalpost.
So it infinitely.
Yeah.
What if you had a bar across from it and you had to hit it into the square?
I think there are other sports that do that.
That'd be kind of fun.
It would be fun.
Maybe more points if you get it in the very middle.
Sure.
On this day in 2020.
That sounds super fun.
Yeah. Well, it is. The level of fun is up.
It's a little
more.
bit.
The
It's
word
a
is
little more fun.
Health authorities in the Chinese city of Wuhan reported the first death from what had been identified as a new type of coronavirus. A 61-year-old man who was a frequent customer at a food market where he would buy monkey meat covered with owl droppings. I think that was one of their, bat, right?
Yeah, bat.
Bat droppings.
Guano.
On this day in 2021, Pope Francis
What tweet?
changed church law to explicitly allow women to do more things during Mass
Didn't he like a butt tweet?
Yeah, I think so.
while reaffirming they cannot be priests. Look, we're thinking women can do more than they could do in the 1400s. But let's settle down on the whole priest thing.
Vatican asks Instagram how Pope's account liked photo of Brazilian model. We're all wondering how this happened. Can you guys tell us?
They claim hacked?
Yeah. You better get on this, Instagram.
But when you're scrolling Instagram, you can see which of your followers liked this picture. And so people are just scrolling, seeing Pope Francis and 900 others liked this photo of a butt.
Because it's the biggest one. The model tweeted out, "At least I'm going to heaven."
Excellent. And on this day in 1911, actress Hattie McDaniel
This is a rough one.
married pianist Howard Hickman. She would go on to become the first African American to win an Oscar.
They had her
heard of her name.
at a table up front. She went up and gave a speech.
I don't think so.
And she thanked everyone, and everyone was welcoming.
Well, that was later in life. At this time is 1911, and she married a piano player, Howard Hickman. At the time of their marriage, Howard Hickman is 30. The question is, how old was Hattie McDaniel? Blake?
Well, what are my four guesses? Or what are my four answers to choose from?
Well, we just give you the guy's name. The guy's age is 30, and now
okay.
you guess Hattie McDaniel.
No 50-50, no phone a friend.
Lifeline.
Man, why do I feel like this is a trick question and she's older? No way, right? 17. Final answer.
Is that your final? Okay.
Jake?
14.
Interesting. The correct answer is 16, so nobody really gets it right. Sorry.
That was riveting.
I love that.
I love that.
Probably not that out of the ordinary for 1911, 30-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Did you see the Norm Macdonald Who Wants to Be a Millionaire clip that was floating around yesterday?
I've seen it in the past.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that one.
I
It doesn't
think.
play as well with audio, but he's kind of talking out two of the answers. He's like, I think it's either Spain or Portugal. And then he's like, I've noticed that, like, if I use my 50-50, right now you're going to take away the other two answers, and those are going to be the only two back up there because there's a guy back there monitoring this. And Regis is like, no! He's like, all right, hit the 50-50. And Spain and Portugal are the only two left. And I was like, I told you.
I'll give you a couple birthdays that I think would interest you guys. We have former Ranger Nick Solak is 29.
Man. He burned bright for about 3 weeks.
I think maybe a current Targer.
I'm seeing free agent.
So he's 29, 22 years old today. Ellie De La Cruz, a man you introduced us to.
Man. Kind of fell off, but he's still a fun player.
Nick Solak, 5-year Major League career, over 800 at-bats.
Less WAR than Ellie.
Already, yeah.
You're right. That's what I was going for there. Ellie only has like 0.8.
Yeah.
But still. He had a lot of steals.
He's fast.
And I'll bring up rapper Lil Twist. Is 31.
I got nothing.
No? He's from Oak Cliff. He's like big enough to be on the big birthday list. So.
Let's see if I know any of these songs.
I feel like we would know something. I think I've heard his name before, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Born on this day, now they're not alive anymore. We have Alexander Hamilton and Albert Hoffman, the first person to synthesize LSD.
Hero.
Has anyone here ever done LSD?
I've always been afraid. It's been pushed on me quite a bit by many people.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you know.
You just been like, I
just don't.
That's a long
That's the thing.
journey.
I'm not a huge fan of the long haul, and
You're in a 10, 12-hour situation.
I'm
if you
okay
get
with
into
the
that.
other option of 5 to 6 hours, maybe 7, but I don't know. I got too much baggage. I'd probably start crying and telling everybody all my problems.
You love them. You've done X, right?
I have.
I've never done that, but I've always heard you'll start telling people how you love them.
There's some of that, yeah.
Yeah. That's better than the opposite.
No, it's... Go ahead.
Is that the one you need a pacifier for?
I mean, that's definitely something that Bob learned from a documentary that HBO did a long time ago.
Okay.
There is like a somewhat of a jaw-clenching element to it, but I think that's because there's a bunch of other junk in there. You know, ecstasy was fully legal in like the 80s. Like, and it was pure. Like, you could just buy it, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty sure I've talked to older family members about this.
Like
They're
at CVS?
I mean, I think you could just buy it at like the bar.
Huh. Well, I missed that. How about you? What's your illicit drug use history? Anything like that? Any shrooms?
No, I'm interested. I think it would be fun, but I don't think I'd ever do it.
Would you do it if we got 10,000 subbies?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You want to do a show on it?
Yeah. I will. I've declared that I will.
And you won't.
I just don't. I think that those days might be behind me. But
all right,
10,000 is a lot. I will give you that. That is, at that point, like, what's the downside? I look like a fool, and 1,000 people cancel. We're still up.
In 2024, if we get 10K subs, and the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, you have to do it.
I will do it.
Well, he already just said he'd do it for 10,000, and now you throw on an impossible part?
Because he's still
part's already
hesitant.
done.
He still really doesn't want to do it. But the Cowboys.
See, my move on that, I take a very, very small amount, and it works just fine for me. Very small. It's very popular, as I think I've told you guys.
We didn't say you had to take 5 handfuls.
I know, but I'm just saying, you might not even notice with the amount that I prefer. Very popular in the therapy community.
Microdosing.
Yeah, and even regular dosing. If you have like someone to talk to while you're doing it, there's a possibility that's going to be legal. Like in the next 10 years, medicinal psilocybin. I mean,
not in Texas.
People do it for like PTSD and trauma situations. Like that's pretty common now.
Okay, I'm in.
Cocaine?
I'm all right.
Yeah,
heroin? Have you tried any of that?
I'm way more interested in heroin for some reason.
Ecstasy was made illegal in 1985. So it was
Okay.
a pretty good little run there.
Isn't that the bit that cocaine was actually in Coca-Cola? Is that true?
I don't think that's true.
Oh, I love it.
I think it's kind of maybe there's a plant that's shared, but no.
So died on this day in 1874, Gail Borden. Gail Borden invented condensed milk.
Okay.
It's wonderful in coffee.
So she's sitting there like, God, this milk is taking up so much space.
I need to. It's just so
what if I can condense this down?
So
into
dense in here with all this milk.
Is that what it is? Is it just milk concentrate? Is that? Am I? What is it?
It was a space situation.
Really?
I don't know, Blake. Jesus, she died in 1874.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah, it's milk with the water taken
I would guess
out
it's
of
a
it.
refrigeration problem.
Yeah.
Or a freshness problem. Anyway, died on the
can't even walk to the bathroom.
Died on the
without
same day in
Thank you,
2008. We have Edmund Hillary, always credited as the first to climb Mount Everest. Of course, he had a Sherpa, right? He's like the first white person, and then in all our history books, this is where the history written by the victors, or at least by the people with the most money or something.
Yeah, I would imagine people in that part of the world have been doing it forever.
But isn't that still interesting that this guy gets that credit?
Yeah, it definitely is. I was not aware that a non-Sherpa had not summited that until 2008. I guess I thought...
Like alone?
Just at all. I mean, I assume someone would have been credited with that previously, even if not a Sherpa.
Same day that Edmund Hillary died, Carl Karcher died at the age of 91. He founded Carl's Jr.
It looks appealing, but I don't know that I've ever eaten there.
I've always been amazed that it exists.
You just don't like it?
No. I've also never eaten there because usually if you're at a Carl's Jr., you're somewhat close to a Wendy's or a McDonald's or a Burger King. And
sure.
Why would I just go hit Carl's Jr.?
Yeah, they paid a lot of money for an ad where Paris Hilton was eating one of their burgers and like dripping the sauce all over her chest.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. There's why I'd go.
Yeah, now he's I tell you what, it very nearly got me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
maybe she'll be there.
I think they have sliders too. I think that's their other thing.
Oh, do they?
Like White Castle, or you can.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you got to have a bit.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to be those other guys. And died on this day in 2010, Meep Geese.
Meep?
His name is Meep. M-I-E-P.
Lil Meep.
Lil Meep. Died at the age of 100. He hid Anne Frank from the Nazis.
Wow.
Good bit. Glad he lived.
I think that's unanimous.
Glad he lived to a ripe old age. And on this day in 2013, someone named Aaron Schwartz says here, famous internet hacker.
I feel like I know that name.
Who committed suicide. Which is probably one of the ways to die if you're a famous internet hacker.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a WikiLeaks guy. Way to end with fun.
Yeah. Well, people die.
This was kind of news during Christmas break, but are y'all familiar with the video game Grand Theft Auto at all?
Of course.
So there's a new one coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
They're still working on it. And an 18-year-old hacked into Rockstar and leaked the trailer that they've been working on. And he got sentenced to life in a mental hospital.
What?
Over leaking a video game trailer.
There must be something else going on.
It's basically he just didn't show remorse. Like he got in front of a judge and they like, if you promise you'll stop hacking. He's like, no. And so they put him in a mental hospital.
I didn't know they could still just send you to the sanitarium.
Sentenced to life in a
the
secure
loony
hospital.
bin.
Over a video game trailer.
You know what? He's getting out of there.
Because I would think
he'll figure out a way to.
Because some of
unlock
those
the
leaks
doors.
I always think are on purpose.
Yeah.
Like they like that. They like that that's creating excitement.
Trey will look pretty badass.
I think they were trying to hide that they're going to have a female protagonist. That was going to be their big draw.
Oh, woke.
But now the
Even
cat's
Grand
out of the
Theft Auto.
bag.
Biden's America.
First Ghostbusters, and now. Was that your closing remarks, Blake?
Yeah, you said hacker, and I forgot to tell you guys about this because
It was
I
good.
You'd like it.
No, it was good.
I can get back to my Hood County news if you want.
All right.
Adios, mofo.